What's up, Shayne? How's it going?
Hello, Shayne.
I'm terrific.
Hi. Hi, terrific. I'm Dad.
Nice to meet you. I'm really good. I'm alive
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
and kicking.
Appreciate
Thanks
that.
for having me. This is a great place.
Yeah.
Watch some of the shows.
Oh, yeah?
Got a chuckle.
Some
Okay.
of them were
I
interesting.
spent too much time on the female gremlin after one of the episodes.
That's
one
a
will get
classic. That's a classic episode.
Yeah.
Don't get her wet after midnight.
No, never.
I have trouble with that even before midnight.
That's probably good advice just in general. Keep her just not.
Just
I
keep her
like how I
dry.
start off just jumped off the cliff.
Oh, I love it. That's how you know it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
What do you do, Shayne? Tell us what's your thing? What's your gig?
To pay for the stuff that I don't need to impress the people I don't like, I work as a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a nurse for 20 years.
Hell yeah.
It's a pretty good gig. How'd you get into that?
Well, I started in 11th grade. My dad said, nobody in our family's been to college, and you did pretty good on your ASVAB score. And I was like, is that the test that I was drawing Christmas trees and snakes with the bubbles? Because I wasn't even taking that. I was just like literally drawing pictures with the
Damn.
bubbles.
Flex.
And yeah.
Hard flex.
I need people immediately to know how intelligent I am.
On how I
But
can
it's
draw pictures.
how I'm accidentally intelligent. But he said, hey, you could join the military. There hasn't been a war in 20 years.
Yeah.
You could pay for school, and with your scores, you could be a hurt locker dude, go tap around and see if there's a bomb. I was like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
You could be on a nuclear sub in a tube under the water.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
Minus SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Well, this was before SpongeBob. It was BS.
Yeah, that also sounds terrible.
World without SpongeBob. I can't imagine it.
So
Literally.
So I just graduated 11th grade. Graduate 11th. That was for me graduation. But I finished 11th grade. Dad said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I was like, "That sounds okay. How do I sign up?" He said, "You're going to MEPS next week for a physical."
Oh my god.
Then you're going to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And I was 17 years old, and I just moved from Little Rock to Bryant, and then all of a sudden I was bald, and people were yelling at me
Yeah,
with a shaved head.
yeah.
But the third thing was a medic. It was 91 Charlie that was just changed into 91 Alpha, which was a new thing in the military in 1989-90, where you could be a medic, or further go into like combat field medical specialty or helicopter medic. Helicopters get sick all the time.
Yeah,
I was like, let me
believe that.
medic on that.
Yeah.
So I thought I would go into medical school from that, and after I graduated 12th grade, I went to Fort Sam Houston, which was a medical training. And guess what? Desert Shield had just started in those wars that we have every 20 years for population control.
Yeah.
I was like, so I might not go to college, or it might be a little break here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, they said, you'll love AIT, which is Advanced Individual. They got an acronym for everything. You mix medical and Army
Yep.
or any military, and you could talk. I think Robin Williams does it in Good Morning Vietnam, where he like says a paragraph with just acronyms and abbreviations or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I never understood why they have to shorten some of those too. It seems ridiculous.
it's like code talking.
Pretty much, yeah. Maybe that's it. They just don't want you to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So they said there's tech sergeants. There weren't even drill sergeants. You don't get yelled at or anything when you go to your after basic and you're in 12th after my senior year. But I was in basic training with dudes that were like 30. There was like Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now was there, and he was like, "I saw a snail crawl across the straight edge of a razor." And, I'm 17 going, "When doves cry." And I was playing I was playing drums, and my life changed. I was digging a hole and to fill it back up, and people were shooting bullets over my head, and they said, "We're going to train you. You've already learned M16, the A1 rifle, and grenade, and how to kill people properly. Now we're going to teach you how to fix them up." And we're also going to give
Life's
you...
about balance.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The yin and the yang, right?
They're like, we're going to teach you 9mm. I grew up, my father was a hunter, so I already knew I was pretty good at all that stuff anyway. and playing music. Goes well together.
Yeah.
Well, growing up in Southwest Little Rock, it was a necessity to
Absolutely.
survive and to be able to shoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grew up over by the highway department right there at Southwest Little Rock. And that, I mean, I guess in the 60s, before, like the decade before I was born, it was kind of like what West Little Rock is now.
Mm-hmm.
But then it slowly kind of got gangsta.
Southwest does
Yeah.
not
So
play.
I just tell somebody I'm an 09er, and they're like, yo.
Yo.
I know you're 5'8" and shit, but don't shame me.
I respect it.
Okay, where did I go? Okay, so so they're like, hey, we're gonna learn all this stuff, and today we're gonna learn how to start IVs, but we're gonna practice on dummies. So pick a partner.
Okay.
And I was
The
like,
best dummies.
Yeah.
and then they made fun of their own. Is it acronyms when it's a letter for the word?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure I
Mhm.
wasn't doing some kind of onomatopoeia or spoonerisms and getting this stuff alliterated wrong. But this really cool African American guy who was like, Shayne, you're really cool. You laid back. I'm gonna let you start my IV, man. I ain't worried about it. You're gonna start my IV, man. It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna be good. And I was like, oh, we're gonna start him anyway. I gotta get stuck. Sure. Blood returned, flushed it. He was like, oh man, that was not bad. Didn't even hurt, man. Didn't even hurt. Great.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, okay, now let me start.
Oh.
It was like, but this is the hand I shoot with.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he bruised my arm up, and I like pain anyway, so I was like, this is great.
Hell
But,
yeah.
I would never say that out loud. So, short story long, that's how I became a nurse.
Hell yeah.
But
Respect
the
it.
main reason I wanted, and nursing was quicker than medical school, so by the time it came around to it, I was like, I'll just go to school for 11 years for my 4-year degree.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Because right when I started working at Vino's, it had just opened. It wasn't even Vino's. It was like, I've been going to Vino's before. It was at least 3 names that was there before. And I was washing dishes there. And speaking of spoonerism, if you switch the words for washing dishes, I was dashing wishes. So I love that job, man. Bands were playing in the back, and I would go after school and work, and I was OCD, so I got that stuff clean. I put it in the rack, and but I was still kind of like with short hair and military based, and so people didn't really know what. And I said, hey, Henry Lee was one of the owners. I said, how about instead of at midnight at 1 o'clock, I clean, instead of mopping up the vomit, and cleaning this mop won't vomit up. It was like, alien vomit.
Oh shit. Oh my god. I'm sorry. The dogs are attacking me.
There's really not dogs here.
Oh yeah.
The edibles just kicked in.
Yeah, I'm on drugs right now, guys.
So I said, hey, how about I come after I get out of school from Mueller. I was taking prereqs for medical school or nursing or whatever, just like your basic prereqs. I said, I'll come here about, I don't know, say 6 o'clock, right when sound check is. And I saw every band for like a year and a half or 2 years sound check in their own element,
Hell yeah.
And I was like, hey guys, I'm just mopping up. And the sound guy's doing that. And so I was very interested in the sound and the musicians and offstage banter and arguments and how things were set up and the whole music and everything about that. And then I saw these guys play. They were this band called the Lemmings. And I was like, that's a great name for a band, And I talked to him afterwards. I was like, hey, I play the drums, I'd like to probably hang out and play music with you guys. And they were like, great, because we don't really like this bass player or drummer. We're about to kick him out of the band.
Hell yeah, perfect.
And I was like, perfect. And then there was this bass player that worked at Boyd Music. It was on 12th Street over off of University. I don't know if you guys remember Boyd Music.
Boyd music?
Boyd.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Anyway, he worked there, and he was in Boy Scouts with me.
Okay.
But he was the one that like did acid and played Dungeons and Dragons while we were all getting our skill awards and stuff, and listening to Black Sabbath and stuff. And I was like, that's cool. We should, talk to him and everything. Something's licking my hand, and that freaked me out.
These damn dogs.
Dude, it's the drugs kicking in, man. I'm telling you.
Try this new hand licking mushroom.
We all like ate edibles before we started. So
this guy,
that's not true.
This other guy came in and was like, "Hey, I'm about to play bass with this band." And he was like, "Hey, where's it?" And he said, "It's the Lemmings." And he's like, "I play bass in that band." So he like,
holy shit.
That's how the other guy found out and told the drummer. And
wow.
So anyway, the computer genius, acid-taking Boy Scout friend of mine with long hair, who now works at MIT in Boston.
Oh, shit.
Hell yeah.
He was like, "How about we name this band not the somethings or anything like that?" I was thinking Techno Squid Eats Parliament.
Techno Squid Eats Parliament.
Wow, what a name.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was
Holy
like, where
shit.
did that come from? He's like, I was looking at this magazine. It's like a comic book from England. It's called Viz, V-I-Z. And it would have stupid headlines like Giant Octopus Eats Parliament or Morrissey is a twat or something. And he was like, it's like a non-name. And within about 3 months, we had come in the finals of now it's the Arkansas Times Showcase. Back then it was Spectrum Weekly, and it was at the old Juanita's. And now, you have local guests that is a volunteer DJ at KABF is going to be one of the judges. Back then it was like Jody Stevens, a drummer for Big Star, Rick Clark, who wrote for Billboard magazine, Jim Dickinson, who was a producer originally from Little Rock. Those were your judges, and you had Benny Turner and I think Chris Maxwell, who was in the Gun Bunnies, running Juanita's, and it was a big deal. And they liked what they saw, and of the 4 finalists, they signed my band and 2 Minutes Hate, which is Barry Pointer's band. I don't know if you guys know. He records music. His band was called 2 Minutes Hate. And all of a sudden, I was in the military, in college, working at Vino's, and signed to a record label and about to record. And they got this producer that was, his name's John Hampton, and he had just done Gin Blossoms. That was the big thing that was going on. Hey, jealousy.
Yeah.
We used to say, hey, Jello seeds. That's what you grow Jello with. And they just played at the fair recently.
That's right. I remember seeing that.
That's probably what my band would be doing now.
Yeah, right.
Playing state fairs. But hey, it's at least they're still playing music. The ones that are alive from that band. But anyway, they wanted us to change the name. They actually liked the Lemmings, but it was just a big. It was just a big disaster from day one. It was like Spinal Tap, and I got out of the military for a while. I was allowed to get out. I stopped going to school, and all of a sudden we got a house on 3rd and Denison in Little Rock, and that's where it's called the Hollow House or the TC House now. It's like a punk rock house. That's where we lived, and we played Vino's once a month, and that paid for our rent, and we toured the rest of the time and did odd jobs and had girlfriends and stuff. And
that's the life.
Yeah,
that would be man, can you imagine trying to do that today?
And there were pagers, but there was no internet. Mark, the guy that was the bass player, he had a laptop, and it was about as thick as that. I mean, it was a huge laptop. And we would stay at people's houses mostly, or a hotel or whatever we could stay at. And he was plugging this thing into the phone line. I'm like, what are you doing, computering the phone? And he's like, no, man, it's called the internet, and I'm going to set up an email thing for our fans, because all the colleges that we play, they have their own email. About the time that I guess Zuckerberg was coming up with the idea of Facebook a little bit later. But we mailed out our flyer, or we mailed out a thing, and we ended up getting this thing called the Biscuit Quarterly, and we would review foods that we got from gas stations and talk about the different things, the bands that we played with and stuff. And we actually mailed out stuff to the people.
Wow.
And we played several tours of the U.S. and Canada. There's a thing called North by Northeast in Canada. And for some reason, from Maryland up all the way to Canada and a lot of England, somehow they got our music a little bit more. It was like The guy from Billboard wrote in Billboard that he said this band is a very energetic rock band from Little Rock that's like an Anglo smart power pop band with punk undertones. And I was like, wow, man.
Jeez.
we're that?
At least you finally found your genre.
Yeah, and so techno, it was filed in the techno bins. Parliament, it was under Funkadelic stuff, and then just the whole word. So the distribution, if you go back and you study the history of Big Star, they recorded at Ardent Records. Ardent Records was a record label in Memphis, and it got a lot. Stax got so big that a lot of that stuff got pulled over to John Fry's studios, Ardent Studios, and they recorded a lot of stuff there. And Alex Chilton, who was a singer for the Box Tops that sang "Get Me a Ticket for an Airplane," he was like 14 or 15 when he recorded that. It sounded like an old man smoking a cigarette. "Get me a ticket for an airplane. Can you pass the Cheerios?" He made a power pop kind of band, sort of British influence, called Big Star. And if you guys haven't heard it, a lot of people haven't, but they've influenced most of the bands that you like. And now, I mean, it's so far away now that they've influenced bands that influenced other bands. But R.E.M., Sonic Youth, Teenage Fan Club, the Posies. I mean, the list just goes on and on. They were highly influenced by this, but it was a power pop band released through a distribution company that was mostly soul records. So like they didn't know how to take it, and it was just like it was this band that should have been huge, but it was a kind of distribution nightmare. And I think we sort of repeated that and became a tax write-off from that. But it was cool. The military was a cool life learning experience. Going to college and then working at Vino's and being in with watching the music scene grow. It was and it still is, I think, the only all ages clubs you can go to and see and play music.
Yeah,
which is important. I mean, the first time I went there, it was called DMZ, or Demilitarized Zone, I think, or it might have been Mandrakes by that time. It was the late 80s. And it was a band called Numbskulls, and they were opening for Trusty, which was a big band that went on to Discord Records out of D.C. And Sobering Consequences, I think, was the other band from Memphis. And before I went to a show, there's a concert and there's a show, and I was introduced that this was a show. I'd never seen people jump off the stage and stage dive. And these were kids like a year or two younger than me and Numbskulls, playing better than me, and like doing really good, and just the energy. And then like the quiet guy that brought me there was a photographer. He works with National Geographic now, but he lived in Bryant, and there was nothing to do in Bryant. So going to this hole in the wall club in Little Rock was really interesting. And they were selling acid at the door. That's how it was. And there was all that glass front end of Vino's that was all just plywood spray painted black.
Oh my god!
And it looked like most haunted houses that you go to,
right?
You know? And then you walk into this other place, and they had this blacklight stuff, and there were like planets and space and solar system, and like some bench stolen from Pizza Hut or something over here, and there were like people making out. And then you go to this back room. It didn't open up that side. The side didn't exist where they do their brewery and stuff now. Yeah. And you go into this brick box, and there's like, and then my real quiet skater haircut, flipping hair photographer friend, he took some pictures and got up on stage. I was like, what the hell's he doing? And he jumped off stage, and like people are holding him up. I was like,
hell yeah.
Wow, this is what I want to do. But I definitely won't want to be 30 like an old man doing this. And I'm 47 now, trying to get a band back together to play at Vino's.
Right.
But we made a lot of money and had a lot of fun at Vino. I mean, we constantly, and that was like 92, 93, 94. $5 a person, and bringing home $800 as the band. Yeah, and I'm 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, that's impressive money now, let alone back then.
Yeah, Henry was like you and Green Day and like Pumpkinhead and Billy Goat, maybe another band called Plaid Retina. There was like 4 to 10 that sold the place out almost every time, and we were one of them. And there were kids, there were our parents, there were the guys that were sort of, we weren't punks, so we weren't. It was almost like you had to secretly go see us because we weren't cool.
Like a guilty pleasure kind of deal.
Yeah. And then we had kind of our rival. It was kind of like high school rivalry. Our rival band was Ho Hum, which is a really great rock band that had several famous members. And actually, the drummer from Numbskulls went on to be in Substance. Substance won that showcase, and then he later went on tour with 2 Minutes Hate as their drummer with me, and we got to become better friends there. Colin Brooks is his name. And he also played with Ho Hum. So, like, the Little Rock music scene is real incestual with switching over members and stuff. But Techno Squiddies Parliament was always just the four of us. And in 2015, we recorded through the internet. Like, the bass player lives in Boston. One of the singer guitar players lives in San Francisco. And then Aaron Sarlo and I live in Little Rock. And we recorded the drums and mailed the stuff off digitally and recorded the entire album through the internet, which was so opposite of a multi-million-dollar studio with a producer.
Yeah.
And then we practiced for like 2 hours the day before the show and played all of our old songs and a lot of the new songs from the album that I had never even heard. I mean, I was like listening to the new album to know how the song went because we recorded it through the internet. It was amazing to go from that to Facebook events. I mean, we made our flyers at Kinko's. That was when we had money. Before that, there was construction paper and stealing stuff from art supplies. But anyway, so that's the musical background. So I've been in the music scene. I wouldn't say I was a part of it, but I've been in the music scene. Let me hit the mic. Since the late 80s. And then the bass player for Trusty made a band with Aaron Sarlo that was in Techno Squid, and we called it Dangerous Idiots. It's different members now, but that was Dangerous Idiots. The punk bass player from Trusty, and me and Aaron from Techno Squiddies Parliament. And he still tours and plays and does music too. He was part of Shug Radio for a while.
Okay.
And he has a solo release album song that's like masterfully done, high quality studios, local musicians singing on it. The guy who produced Candle in the Wind produced it, and it's called Penis Tsunami.
Oh, wow.
I love that name. That's great.
And I think he specifically says Candle in the Wind for the phallic symbol in your head, and then tells you. But he for a while, the band had broken up, and they tried to move to Boston for a while and do things there, but it eventually just. So we're officially together now as of 2015. I'm trying to get us to record another album online and then play another show. But
yeah,
that was pretty fun. We did that in 2015.
Hell yeah. Love the music scene. It's a lot of fun. Whole lot of fun.
Pretty crazy. It's come a long way.
I've also played a show where I made $12 as an entire band at Vino's.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of
See,
course.
that's what I'm more used to right there.
I mean,
Well, you gotta have those nights, especially starting up.
It's the same with, I think, drugs and alcohol. Anytime you go this far feeling falsely good, you're going to feel this far bad for the next couple of days. So it's best just to like stay centered and focused and, just not do too much of anything. Just
Sure. Back to the balance.
Yeah.
Yin That's right,
and
children.
yang.
It's all about balance.
And be cool to your school.
Be cool to your school. Don't buy acid at the door at Vino's. It is not real acid.
I think the main reason he hit me up for doing this was about the radio show I do Thursdays on KABF.
Yes.
88.3 FM.
Go ahead and name drop it.
It's called Gray Matter Radio.
There we go.
And the last band it's been 3 years now, which hurts my heart since I played live music. The last band I was in was called The Casual Pleasures. And I love playing in that band, but the singer moved to China for a while, so it made gigging a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But now he's back in town and we're not playing music. But I kind of wanted to, every time I got into a band, people were smoking cigarettes. I'd bum a cigarette. They hit some bongs at the end of the night. They'll start bringing beer. Then each of us would just like have a holster with whiskey in it.
Yeah.
And then it was just, every time I got around music, just the excess of And all that stuff drew me away from actually making the music. You ended up sitting around smoking pot, talking about how good it would be to, or this would be a good band name, this would be a good album title, and you're not even making music anymore.
Yeah.
And actually, this sticker I put here, one of the guys from the Casual Pleasures, he has a home studio. I think he calls it Rainbow Kicker Recording. But we joked around about alcoholism and drug use in bands, and I was like, I always wanted to have a band called Billy Rubin and the Elevated Enzymes.
That's a mouthful there.
Yeah.
And Billy Rubin would come out with like a cape like James Brown. He'd be Billy Rubin. You know, it'd be like kind of the way Man in the Moon, who was the comedian. He did Mighty Mouse.
Yeah,
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman.
It was kind of, and I wanted to, him to have like, not even like say we weren't even going to say who we were in real life. And he went on and recorded the first song, Psychedelic Do-Rag.
Psychedelic Do-Rag.
But that came from one of the sessions of just hanging out, talking crap about the wonderful things we were going to do.
That's the way it goes, for sure.
I think the whole music thing, I noticed the rock stars got girls and I wanted a girlfriend. So I wasn't afraid to dance at school because all the guys were like, I'm too cool to dance. I'm going to be over here,
on the wall.
I'm going to be on the wall because the chicks like that. Let me put my flask in my Hunter Orange vest. And I'm like, pure energy.
Bad boys don't dance.
And, so I found that writing poetry and playing music and dancing and not being afraid to like do all that, it basically came from just a sick sadness of being lonely and wanting a girlfriend.
Hey,
sure.
There you
like
go.
all of us.
That's
Why does anyone start doing music?
Especially, why does any dude start doing anything?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
those reasons right there.
It's a good motivator.
The world turns because of it.
Yeah, that's how that always goes.
What's ironic is if I would have never gotten married, I'd probably be a millionaire.
You think so?
Yeah.
See, that's what I tell everyone. So, like, I work at a like a retirement home. All the old people there.
Old homes go to retire.
Yeah. And love on my old people, and
they're cool, man.
Yeah, they'll talk to me.
They got a lot of stuff to say.
Yeah,
if you listen.
And they'll be like, why don't you have a girlfriend? I'm like, no. And they're like, well, why not? I'm like, I can't afford it. Like you said, I'd be a millionaire if I hadn't had girlfriends in the past.
I've been married 3 times.
3 times?
But I would never say that out loud.
Wow.
Okay, so he has not been married 3 times.
And I have 4 children.
God, that would suck the money right out of you. But you're not saying that.
No. Hashtag not bitter. This is all about positivity.
That's right.
I've noticed just the last couple of years that resentment and bitterness, holding on to that, is like some Confucius dude said, it's like drinking your own poison and hoping the other person dies from it. And if you just kind of let go of that, things are a lot better. The only thing you have control of is how you react to people in a situation.
Yeah.
You choose to be mad. I've had I don't know. You get kind of bitter and angry after several things and just banging your head. I mean, like almost make it in the music industry and then almost being an actor and then going to Sundance and being interviewed by Latin HBO and then coming back to nursing school was just like, and then the director goes on and he works with Rip Torn, Pierce Bronson, who's the guy who was Harry and the Hendersons and Third Rock from the Sun?
I've never
John
seen
Lithgow.
John Lithgow, yeah.
He worked with them. And
Harry and the Hendersons was such a good jam. I used to love that movie.
Yeah,
man.
but they need to do a hillbilly one with the Falk Monster, the Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Vinos too, not that I'm tooting their horn or anything, the front of Vinos has my grandfather was a professional photographer for the Arkansas Highway Department for many years, and I lived over by the Highway Department, so I'd go visit him and my aunt. And he had a dark room back with the chemicals of the photographs and
Old film
For developing the
and,
shit.
and
yeah.
he would do an Arkansas film, a lot of blowing up bridges and building places, and he always took a picture of the, like, back when we used maps, paper maps.
Mhm.
He took the picture each year on the front of the Arkansas Highway Department map of, like, the autumn scene or, you know, road or bridge. But also along the way, he would take pictures of steam engines, go to Civil War reenactments, stop and take pictures like Andy Warhol of, like, car crashes. when the nuclear reactor, and I guess it's Russellville.
Yeah, Russell.
Oh.
Just
He
outside
drove by
Russellville.
once, and the wind was blowing, and he has a total cloud question mark photograph, but not photoshopped, of like a question mark over that.
What?
And
Dang.
anyway, so there's this. If you go into Vino's and you look on the left side across from where the food is cooked in the big oven, there's this picture of bridges. It says 6 bridges of Arkansas donated by so and so. Photo by Shayne Gray. That's my grandfather's photograph.
Oh,
And
shit.
there's a beer called 6 Bridges there. I guess named sort of like after maybe the photograph.
Nice.
And
Okay.
so he's infamous in the front, and I've got a broken cymbal signed. I think there's a broken accordion that says Techno Squid in the back. So,
Hell fucking yeah, dude.
Nice.
so I'm totally infamous, and
That's awesome.
It's cool to go back there once in a while. I mean, it's still going on. I think it opened it was maybe December of '89 or '90. So I guess that's.
Yeah,
Mm.
I've always known it as Vino's. I
Yeah,
didn't
me
even-
too.
It was Mandrake's for a while, and it was kind of like the Nevermore people who were doing the goth thing.
Mhm.
People would all dress in black. And my girlfriend in high school that turned me on to Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Smiths, The Cure, Depeche Mode, Joy Division, Bauhaus.
Mhm.
That's the kind of people that went there. And man, I loved the dark, brooding, dark lipstick, glasses wearing,
Yeah,
pissed off, angsty
Mhm.
females with the fishnet pantyhose
Mhm.
on.
that's a good scene.
Yep.
It was just like it just
Classic.
just melt with that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have taken her to prom.
She would have loved
She
that.
said
I'm
she didn't
sure.
want to go.
Vino's is probably a better option if she's in that scene for
Well,
prom.
She wasn't even in that scene. She was just like a true OG goth person.
Exactly right.
I mean,
you know, what goth person wants to go
She
to
would
prom?
shoplift cassettes because that was what was popular.
Mm-hmm.
And from like Camelot Music or whatever the mall place was.
Mm-hmm.
And then convinced me that they had a 15% markup for damages and shoplifting. And I was like, well, we're helping the company by shoplifting. You know,
Wow.
that's true love there.
Yeah. I'm sure they appreciated that.
That's true love and
For sure.
homegrown tomatoes. Wow, I'm taking you guys on a tangential journey of.
A little bit
Man.
of everything.
Love it. Love it.
So my last name's Gray,
Mm-hmm.
and gray matter is the part of your brain that they think has the sensory parts, you know, where you can see, hear, smell,
Mm-hmm.
control your anger. And I was like, well, my last name's Gray, and if I called it Gray Matter Radio, I could still do music, support local bands, play some local stuff. I know Suge Radio does all local, but I want to throw out some local bands, play some new music, and have no real format at all, and just kind of like go in the recesses of your mind and just be open-minded to try to play. I don't do a lot of dark metal or punk or classical, but you know, I'll play something from the 1920s and then go into a Lou Reed,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
into Joy Division,
Yeah.
into something that like Def Leppard or something.
Yeah.
It's just all over the place. But the show that I do is Thursdays 9 to 11 on KBF, and it's a volunteer DJ job.
Mhm.
You don't get paid for it.
Oh, that's cool though.
That's
And-
so I found it through Ryan, of course,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because we listened to it at the studio.
Yeah, he says he
on
plays the show
Thursdays.
there.
Yeah.
Were
And
you
that's,
there the night that I was talking over while people were there?
Yeah.
He
At the
said-
studio?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I was like I was like, you there getting a tattoo?
Yeah.
He was like, man, people freaked out.
They did. It was fantastic because they didn't even know like what we were
It's just
listening
background
to.
music,
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
sure.
Right. And yeah, it was pretty great. It was a
was
funny
like-
time.
I figured, you know, maybe somebody would be listening or get a kick, and it worked out perfectly. They called me and said, man, there were people laying there getting a tattoo, and all of a sudden the radio started talking to them
Hey, you.
specifically.
Yeah.
This is the voice of God.
Yeah, they were very confused at what was happening.
Yeah,
It was
9
pretty
to
great.
11, 88.3 FM on Thursdays. Gray Matter Radio.
Yeah, I do. I like a lot of what you play.
Oh, thanks.
It's fantastic, and like the spectrum of it. I mean, my music tastes are everywhere anyway, so it makes it even great. What do you do? What's your process for going through and picking what you're gonna play?
I try to keep the philosophy that a good musician can at least appreciate all types of music. So even, I mean, sometimes I'll play throbbing gristle, which is just a lot of, like some people would say, noise, you know. The process, I listen to music anyway, so I listen to music all week, and then whatever I'm feeling like in the mood or something that reminds me of, I'll just go through. Like I was watching a Quentin Tarantino film, and I think it was the one out in the snow.
What is that? Hateful Eight?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of something from Pulp Fiction, and then that put me on a tangential journey on something else. And then my mom listens in sometimes, and what really got me into music, I was a kid and my parents were always listening to music, but they were the type that listened to the Beatles until they started doing drugs. Little did they know they were doing drugs before they were even recording music.
Definitely.
But you know, I guess the Sgt. Pepper's stuff, she'll let me listen to I Want to Hold Your Hand, and they had Fleetwood Mac Rumors, but they had Jackie Wilson, and they had the Kingston Trio, Lemon Tree, very pretty, but the lemon. Buddy Holly. I mean, that Buddy Holly was really invented Nirvana.
Yeah.
There were orchestrations behind people, and he was like, I'm gonna play guitar, put a bass, and he plays the drums, and I'm gonna rave on with you guys. And you know, he's just from some small town in Texas, and stuff like that was blowing my mind. And then my aunt, she's about 8 years older than me. Her and her boyfriend let me borrow Pink Floyd The Wall and Jethro Tull Aqualung. And yes, I've seen all good people turn their heads each day. I don't even know what it is, but and of course where I was living in Oneierville, it was like living in the state fair.
Yeah.
Where it was constantly there was a band down the road that really turned me on to music, and they were called Diamond Romeo. And they were a rock band of Little Rock.
Diamond Romeo?
Diamond Romeo.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah. This guy, Les Ming, was my hero. He lived down the road. His dad, I think, was divorced, so it was just him and his dad. And the back trailer was their practice place. And I'd be driving my little Dallas Cowboys bike, and I would hear a Van Halen cover song. I'm talking about Diver Down, before, like old Van Halen, because it was a long time ago. And they were doing the Kinks. And one day I was like, I'm just going to go knock. And I was probably 12 maybe. And I went and knocked on the door, and it looks like Slash. It looked like the generic rock stars with the whiskey bottle cigarettes, nude women on the wall. And they're like, "Yeah, man, come on in. You can listen to some music." So I was just like there with some earplugs, just like in the midst of like Little Rock, rock and roll.
That's crazy.
I think they had to break up because they got arrested for stealing some big band's equipment they opened up for or something.
Fuck, dude. You can't. Come on.
But it was good stuff, and that really influenced me. And I started. My dad allowed me to get a drum set when I was 13, and I was still living there in Little Rock. And I had a phonograph player. If I played too loud, it would skip. So I was so happy when we got cassette tapes because I could play the crap out of the drums. And I remember like Appetite for Destruction. I would play that, and yes, 90210, or was that a series of teenagers? Like Owner of a Broken Heart.
What
Scorpions.
What took you to drums? Why the drums?
I wanted to play violin, and my dad said, "You ain't gonna be no egghead playing no violin, boy. Come over here against the wall and stand and watch these girls dance." And he said, "You need to play saxophone," or he wanted me to play something else in the band if I was gonna play something. And I went there, and there's this guy's a musician in Little Rock. He still plays. His name's Carl Mouton. He was the band director. I started J Fair, which is now closing. The freaking high school's closing. But I was there, I think it was 82 in 7th grade, 82, 83. And we were trying out for the band and stuff, and I was going to try to play the saxophone because, like, all the cool bands, like, I guess... you know, there's a lot of bands that had saxophone in it, all the way up through, like, Psychedelic Furs even has a lot of saxophone, but especially the 80s, like Huey Lewis and the News and all the bands like that were saxophone bands. So I was going to go in and be the saxophone dude. and so we get in line, and he's like, you got good strong hands. Why don't you play the drums? And I was like, okay, Daddy wants me to play the drums. He was like, okay.
You got good strong hands, boy.
You got pretty lips. Can you squeal like a pig?
You can beat on this drum.
Can you beat the skins? Hold on to this stick.
Oh my God. 13.
I was learning my rudiments at 13. But he still plays piano and jazz stuff, and I think his main instrument was the trombone. But I can pretty much pick up any instrument and make you think I can play it if you're not a musician, except for the ones you blow on. I've never been the one to...
Really?
Except for maybe a harmonica, because it's already... You pick the key of whatever the song is. But, like...
Just slide up
the aperture and getting spit and blowing, it was just too sensitive. It was too personal for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot more fun to beat on stuff.
Yeah.
But come to find out, they had too many saxophone players, and the dude just made up some crap about my hands.
See, that's kind of what I figured.
Yeah,
that's kind of
so
what I
was
thought.
just
That's
like,
usually how
became a
that
drummer.
goes.
Yeah, I was the same way when I wanted to join my, like, middle school band. I was like, I want to play drums, like, really bad, you know?
It was cooler to play drums,
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
It was
exactly.
less geeky.
Mhm.
I was going to
For
get
sure.
my
I was like, all the
butt
cool
kicked.
kids play
wasn't gonna be
drums.
because the piccolo.
Yeah, I like rhythm. I like, you know, all the cool kids play drums. I want to play drums. And they're like, everybody wants to play drums. No, we're going to put you on clarinet. And I was like, I'm not going to play the clarinet.
It's scary, too, because 7th grade in Little Rock, guys were going behind the band building in 7th grade getting high.
Mm-hmm.
I somehow, because of kind of a stringent military sort of father figure that was very anti-drugs and alcohol, I made it to almost like 17 before I even really drank.
Wow.
But, you know, your basic training, or I think San Antonio on the Riverwalk at age 18 thinking, I'm old enough to get shot for my country. I'm old enough to drive. I'm old enough to vote. But I can't drink.
I'm going to drink for my country.
There's a lot of bad choices
So
made on that
I went
Riverwalk.
from nothing at all to passing around the, you know those things at the hotels, you just fill your bucket up with ice?
Yep.
I was just like, pour everything in here.
Oh
I
god.
was that guy.
Shit. Mm-mm.
That's not the way to do it.
Yeah, you wake up with something
that's
cold on your shoulder
that's
and it's the floor.
Yeah, that's the 17-year-old way to do it.
Actually,
18-year-old
I
way
woke
to
up
do it.
with, well, no, I won't go into the details. It was kind of my own Private Idaho thing going on at one point. Have you seen that movie with River Phoenix, My Own Private Idaho?
No.
The Keanu Reeves is in it. You got to see it. Flea is in that movie.
How? When was this movie? What was the?
My Own Private Idaho. Oh my God, you got to see it. And that's really the way I got into making that. I quit the band. We were about to have. We had music videos. We had a compact disc that was audio visual. One of the first audio visual CDs.
B-52's Private Idaho.
No, that's.
Yeah, I think it's a Gus Van Sant movie, I believe.
Right down.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, there you
here we
go.
go. My Own Private Idaho.
There you go.
Gotcha.
1991.
film.
River Phoenix has narcolepsy, and he basically is living with these street guys, and they're selling their body for sex to men or women.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And Keanu Reeves hangs out with him, but he's a rich kid, and like it kind of goes from there.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
But it's really so I quit the band. I was like, man, I'd rather just be famous with my family and friends than do this whole. Everywhere I was going, I don't know. I was like, I need to finish school. I needed something to fall. I was actually influenced by the president of Reprise Records. I became friends with him. His name's Howie Klein, and he was like, I thought he was going to sign our band, but apparently he wanted me to marry him or something. Which I was so into the band at the time, I wouldn't have even done that with a record exec female. I was just like, you know, I thought you were going to sign our band, dude.
Right.
I even tried to turn him on to. Have you guys heard of Ashtray Babyhead?
Yep.
I freaking sent the Pill cassette to him, the president of Reprise, which is part of Warner Brothers and Sire. I mean, major label stuff. And he calls me, and Seymour Stein and this whole like round table of record execs he calls me on a speakerphone, and they're hearing I know, yeah. And it's kind of Green Day sounding, not on purpose, but it's kind of that about that time. And Green Day was on Warner Brothers. He's like, yeah, Shayne, we're listening to this Ashtray Babyhead. It's really, and they're singing along to it, like Seymour Stein, who like discovered the Ramones, I believe, and like stuff like that. And I was like, what do you think? He was like, we're probably just gonna die like everything else in Arkansas, and nobody's gonna hear about him.
Right.
And I was like so pissed. I didn't talk to him for like half a year. But I probably shouldn't, like, I don't know. It doesn't matter now. He basically said, marry me today, and what's your biggest dream as a musician? And I was like, I think Martin Gore's cool from Depeche Mode, and he's done the solo thing, and I can play most of the stuff that he can't, and he can do all the other stuff. I'd like to do a side project with Martin Gore. He's like, marry me today. We're going to Bristol, England next week, and you're going to meet Martin Gore. And I was
Jesus.
like, but Techno Squid eats Parliament.
Yeah. Damn.
That's a tough
Hashtag
one.
not bitter, number 2.
Yeah, right?
The sequel.
Yeah.
Damn.
I still talk to him, though, man. I sent him Penis Tsunami. He liked that. Aaron was like, you got to send Howie the Penis Tsunami.
Penis Tsunami.
Crazy.
I can't get over that name. I love it.
You should listen to it. It's he's not doing it on Spotify. Like, you have to be played 1 million times to get 0.6 of a penny on Spotify.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
Yeah.
And so I think he's only doing it through his website and maybe iTunes, but you should at least listen to it. It's a beautiful song. It starts. You should play it sometime. It's like one of his comedy routines. He sold all of his guitars and stuff, and I met back up with him like several years later, and he had a ukulele, and he's doing Penis Tsunami up on stage like at the comedy club. And I was like, here, take my acoustic, write some music, man. Let's make. And I was like, you should. I've really been getting into Lou Reed's Transformer and just the simplicity of this, and just we've been trying to make things too complicated. And that's kind of how Dangerous Idiots came about. And I have Crohn's disease. I was about to have surgery for intestinal blockage. The day after, we booked the studio at Jason Tedford's Wolfman studio when it was above Juanita's, one of the last things recorded there. And I literally was thinking, I may not live. I could get. I mean, and what sucks is to be told you have Crohn's disease, and then the doctor, as a nurse, and the doctor go, don't work around sick people, sleep 11 hours a night.
Oh my God.
And don't work a stressful job. I was like, if you look up nursing in the dictionary,
that's all
the three things you can't
opposites.
add wiping someone's butt and being cussed at and punched at.
Yeah.
And you got nursing.
Jeez.
But
respect all the nurses out there.
And then I'm going to soapbox for a second. I got approved a medical marijuana card, and the nursing board won't let you smoke pot even with a prescription.
Damn.
So I can take care of patients that are sick and high, feeling better because of it, and possibly even curing their cancer.
Yeah.
And not to mention pain, nausea, everything else. But I can't be a nurse.
But you can drink.
Oh yeah, you can drink.
You can drink. It's all good.
Which is one of the number one, besides
Crohn's.
Being overweight and obesity in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Think about what alcohol does to everybody.
We're good at that here. We're good at the alcohol.
Do you find that's worse for your Crohn's as well?
Well, I knew
some
something was wrong when I was about 6, and they took me to the hospital, and I'm sure it was this Crohn's thing that wasn't even invented yet, or the name of it. And they did all these tests, and the doctor took my dad outside the room where I could hear him and said, "I think your son just wants attention, sir." And I was like, I'm an only child. I get too much attention. I want to lock on the door, and we just got that cable where you could push the buttons, and if I push both sides of the Playboy thing and do the little knob right, I need more privacy. I've got plenty of attention. It also made me not want to be a doctor. I was like, the nurses were real nice to me. And going back to why I'm a nurse, I also I wanted to know more about the body and the system of the body to write about it in poetry, in a poetic way. And I didn't, the thing closest to what I like is Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah.
He wrote Fight Club, and he gets really graphic with some stuff.
He does do that. Yes. He's one of my favorites for sure.
I've read most of his stuff up until the last couple of years, but gosh, I've gone all over the place with this. There's so many things I wanted to say.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
As long as you can fit it in 2 hours, that's what we're here
Forgive
for.
me, Father, for I have sinned.
Yeah, this is a confessional.
I'm just wondering what's going to be on the highlight reel.
Oh, we'll have to see.
It's a good question.
Watch this.
We'll put the most
stuff.
incriminating.
This will be weird for just a second.
Yeah.
This will be like the most incriminating things usually go on the highlight reel.
Yeah, the real eye catching.
But I was I was really pissed off at doctors from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, understandable.
Yeah,
I think I would be too.
I was like, the nurses are doing everything and they're nice.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to Crohn's disease. When I would drink alcohol, I would literally shit blood.
Right.
Damn.
That's what I've heard, that it
And
makes it way worse.
I could hold a lot of liquor, but I would get sick not from being not
like
from
drinking,
not from the alcohol.
Yeah.
But every time I drank, I could drink more than everybody else. But I literally got sick to my stomach. It felt kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I did not mean to do that.
It was like a perfect segue. You need like bells and whistles, sounds to push, like
Man, like there's been like 5 guests who've told us we need a sound effect board,
rim
Randy.
shots.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't because of that.
I'm telling
too
every
cliche.
time I'm just say like I'll do it myself. So like
Do it with your
if
mouth.
I feel
That's what she said.
see,
That's one of the. I think I would love doing that, like a Foley artist, not like a nurse starting a Foley catheter. But
Foley's so cool.
This doing the recordings and voices. Like I've always just really loved cartoon characters and stuff like that. Even when I was a kid and I had a cassette player, I would record music and I would record myself reading comics and stuff. So I guess I was practicing being a DJ from like
There you
age
go.
6.
Yeah. Hell
I'd
yeah.
be like,
Yo.
I will shoot you with my explosive modulator.
Oh my god.
It's a whole cartoon.
You know, and my
in
hero
here.
was the dude on Police Academy that could do all the voice.
Oh, what was his name?
I remember one of the guys' name was Mayo, but he would do the. He did a really cool thing of a Led Zeppelin song with a mic on some talk show recently.
Is it Winslow?
Winslow, Arizona.
Michael Winslow. Yeah, that's him.
Michael Winslow.
Man,
that dude can make some noises though.
talk about somebody to hang out and get high with.
Oh man, I'm sure that would be.
You know, if you
God.
you often hear like who would sit at the table with you? What would be your dream people, dead or alive? Winslow's going to be there with me.
Michael Winslow. I've never seen
with
Police
Salvador
Academy.
Dali and Gene Wilder.
Salvador Dali, I feel like would be a tough one. Like, I think just
Vincent Price would be there.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
He'd have to dress like Dr. Phibes, though. You ever seen Dr. Phibes?
I don't know Dr. Phibes.
Dr. Phibes.
Since it's Halloween season, you must look up Dr. Phibes 1 and 2. Both are just brilliant movies.
Fuck? Oh my god.
Oh wow.
This sick fuck. What the hell? That's terrifying.
He has a 1/4-inch cable jack like a guitar cord
Oh
into
shit,
his
he
neck
does.
because his face was messed up so bad. That's a fake face on him. And if you go to the top left,
This
one
one
of at the top, and you see that green headed thing. That's really what his face looks like.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Love
He's
means
like a Frankenstein Frankenstein's monster kind of.
love means never having to say you're ugly. It's kind of the catchphrase for the first movie.
Isn't that sweet?
And he goes through and he murders these people he thinks is responsible for his girlfriend's death.
Jeez.
And his
Revenge is the best medicine.
What year is this?
that's probably got to be 69 to 72.
71.
71. Yeah. So if we did top favorite movies, it would be Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
Mhm.
Blazing Saddles, Dr. Phibes, Apocalypse Now, and Clockwork Orange.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of what the
That's a good
radio.
choice.
That's kind of the vibe I'm trying to go with the radio show.
Mhm.
Okay.
I got you.
I can see that. I can see a
I
little
have
bit of
no
that.
idea what I'm talking about now.
No, that makes sense.
I like the Frogman here. That's
Yeah, he puts on masks that continue to keep getting tight at this masquerade ball, and it squishes the Froggy Man's head.
Speaking of movies, we were talking about earlier before we started the podcast. You had some opinions on the new Joker film. You said you saw it twice. Let's hear those opinions.
I hardly even go to the movies. I don't have a lot of time, and I don't like spending money,
Mhm.
and don't have a lot of it. But the Joker movie, I really like it. Back to River Phoenix. River Phoenix brother is Joaquin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When I went to Sundance Film Festival, in the movie I was in called The Delta, the producer for my movie also produced this movie called Arresting Gina, and that had Summer Phoenix in it. So I met Summer Phoenix and Michael Stipe from REM came to see my movie. They like came in late, and I was like, "Who is coming in?" Michael Stipe.
Yeah. Let him
Have
be.
a seat.
Cool,
Yeah, let him come in late. That's fine.
So when I was asked, I went to Memphis and stopped by this club and was asked to be in a movie kind of randomly, and I thought it was just some freak. And come to find out, he had done script supervision for Martin Scorsese and had done a short film. And then the producer, and he had people down from New York. The guy who did our photography on the Delta, he did the Ramones Christmas video where the 80s couple is like arguing and stuff, and it's like, "Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight no more."
Wow.
He was the like whatever you call it, the camera operator. I should know all this stuff.
Cameraman.
He was the ACDC or something.
I have
OCDC.
clue.
OCDC.
Yeah, don't make me laugh.
Oh, director of photography.
Yeah,
I think is
DOP.
what it is. Yeah.
That's dope.
That's for my film and literature class.
School is wearing
college,
off on you.
college man here.
Big old brain over
Yeah.
there.
So let me look at big old brain. So let's go. That was Summer Phoenix. River Phoenix did My Own Private Idaho, and in this movie that I was in dealt with me having a girlfriend but meeting a half black, half Vietnamese gay guy in Memphis. So I kind of had to be bisexual in the movie. My dad said that's good acting if it was acting.
Ooh. Dum, dum, dum.
I'm making my dad out to be like Sergeant
Classic
on Full Metal
Arkansas.
Jacket or something.
Yep.
But
You're going to the military.
You got to be straight in the military. And if you're not, I can't respect you as my son. I'm sorry.
Wow, I'm gonna cry.
Joker. How was Joker?
So Joker. Anyway, so I'd seen My Own Private Idaho. I saw River Phoenix do sort of a gay theme, and he was okay with it acting. And I later found out all of Hollywood is corrupt, and they just sleep together with men and women and animals and snort coke off of each other's.
Fucking Grease, man.
It's just
that's all they do. That's their life.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Hell yeah.
And football's really our gladiators now.
Ooh.
It's
What about
a
like
distraction.
UFC?
I like UFC.
That's like our
But I wish-
gladiators now.
Football would be better if like the leading quarterback that lost got sacrificed at the end, like in the old
Ooh.
Mayan days.
Okay.
Or gladiators where the audience would be like.
If somebody like dropped a
I mean,
game-winning catch.
And what is it with the Arkansas Razorbacks being
fucking
hogs? Not just that, just there. It's hog ball, and we've got all of these overweight people in Arkansas, and they've got a bunch of women that has the word hog on their back, and they're proud to wear it when they go on vacation.
Hell yeah. Well, we
too.
have fucking stores here. People buy like wedding dresses at the dress barn.
And nobody
The barn.
Nobody goes to Fayetteville. I mean, it's like you're rooting for 19 to 22-year-old kids, and we're cannibals. We're playing with a pig ball. We're playing with our own skin.
Well, you know where they got their
Eaten.
name though, right?
I know.
Originally, it was the Cardinals.
What?
Well, I know it's the razorback of a pig. That looks like razors on their back.
Yeah. Well, originally
Like the Peaky Blinders, right?
it was the Arkansas Cardinals.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And then they went and played. It was in the. I may be making this up. I want to say the 60s.
I know
Or
the
maybe
baseball team here was the Cardinals. Like at the Ray Winder Field, weren't they Cardinals?
I'm not sure about that, but So they went and played somewhere that season, and the coach at the time had an interview afterwards, and he said that the players played like a bunch of Razorbacks, a bunch of hogs, because they were just wild, and just
rooting around.
Yeah. So then they changed the team.
It's kind of like a
name.
Led Zeppelin story.
Yeah.
All right.
Basically, they
Okay.
changed it from the Cardinals to the Razorbacks. Yeah. And then
I don't know. I
Athletics.
don't hate all sports. I just don't see the people that are just make that their main persona.
Yeah.
The whole thing that goes with it. I mean, my grandfather I was telling you about, he was friends with Ben Pearson, the archer, and he liked photography and he liked hunting, and my dad was a hunter, and nobody in our hunting club drank alcohol, and then, like, the stereotypical redneck is out shooting up, like Elmer Fudd. But here they are teaching me kind of like the Native American ways, like we use all of what we kill. You have to respect it, and you don't just kill anything, and population control of culling the herd and whatever rationalization.
I like that.
Kind of like Red Dawn, where they put the blood and an X over your head and you drink it and bite the heart. I was basically raised to be the Terminator's son, to be. I was like an Eagle Scout at 15. Keeps coming back to my dad, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear my thoughts?
Is this a therapy session? Same old devil's therapy.
What's even funnier, on another tangent, my dad's name's Kermit.
Okay.
My mom is Linda Gray. My other grandfather was Jimmy Stewart.
Oh wow.
So I've got Kermit the Frog, Linda Gray, who was in Dallas, and I think Buck Rogers, a famous actress. And then my name, I think there's a Western novelist called Zane Grey that was like Louis L'Amour sort of writer. So I was supposed to be like this poet cowboy, I think.
Oh.
His name is Shayne Gray.
There you
Put a
go.
Y in it.
Yeah.
But I
Fancy.
finally, about 26, I was high, and I figured out why they put a Y in Shane.
Why?
So they could rearrange the letters to spell hyenas.
I'm sure.
And then for a while, I started calling people by their name backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like SHAYNEGRAY is Jorgen, yes.
Okay.
Mia tuk zog zog Lena.
That's a lot of work when you meet someone to
that's-
translate
that-
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jennifer backwards is my favorite. Refinage.
Ref.
Come here, Refinage.
I guess mine would be Zlef.
That's my favorite rapper of.
Zlef.
You ever heard of Zlef? He did some stuff with Eazy-E. recently.
Zlef.
No, Eazy isn't alive, is he?
Oh, he's not. Rest in peace, Eazy-E.
R.I.P.
Sitting at the table with my Commodore 64.
Rest in peace.
The Joker.
Yeah, the Joker.
So River Phoenix influenced me to go ahead and go out on a limb. Go out on more than a limb.
Mm-hmm.
You should look up the Delta Iris Sax, IRASACH.
IRA.
I think they have the entire thing on YouTube now,
Really?
but it's subtitled in like Vietnamese or something. It's actually played all over the world.
You were telling me about it earlier, and I'm
and the-
pretty
and the-
interested.
Okay.
It played the Sundance Film Festival in '97, and the director went on to do several other. That's
This
the
guy?
director, Iris Sachs,
Okay.
a very awesome, sweet man.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Sundance Film Festival. Ira's dad, Iris Sachs Jr., had a condo in Park City, Utah, and there was a blizzard that night. And this guy was way out there. He had two chicks in bathing suits and high heels that came in and got in the front hot tub with him.
Mm-hmm.
There were drugs and alcohol. There was a penis sculpture that water came out of all the peni.
Nice.
Peni is a
Love
plural
that.
for penis.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You learn these things in the gay films.
Did it say it like in the script? Like,
Okay, so the doors are adjacent, like it's a condo, and here's the door to go in here, and here's the other door. Cheech Marin's door from Cheech and Chong lived next door to this dude.
okay.
I was hanging out with Summer Phoenix, Cheech Marin, in Park City, Utah. The party was just crazy, and they had so much alcohol. I mean, it was like 3 feet of snow, kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And out on the deck, there was another hot tub, and almost like it was this weird refrigerator. They had all the beers, like the old timey when you open up and take the bottle out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They had all the bottles shoved in the snow, and that was like. speaking of Rome, it was fun.
So how did you get involved with that? How did that land in your lap? The movie.
I just got out of the band Techno Squid. The guys were like, "Screw you! We're going to move to Boston and go on without you."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like some bitterness for a while, but we love each other still. So I stayed in Little Rock, and I started. I was dating this hairdresser, and I bleached my hair blonde.
Yo, nice.
And I was showing my grandmother. I was like, "Check out my hair." She's like, "You look so cute." I was like, "She's gonna think that I'm ravishing because this is awesome." I look like Slim Shady before Slim Shady, and she's like, "You know what? You look really cute, like Steve Martin."
Steve
I was like,
Martin,
not exactly the sex symbol I was thinking of,
but a sex
but if I
symbol
could just,
nonetheless.
if I could be near as halfway funny, that would be great. So this friend of mine, girlfriend, she had a friend who was obsessed over the singer for Ho Hum, and that was our rival band, and so she's like, she wants to go to Club 616 to see Ho Hum. I was like, okay, I got to go see Ho Hum, the rival band. But I'm with my girlfriend. She'll probably pay for the alcohol. And she did my hair real cool. And her friend's driving, so we can just drink as much as we want.
The things I do for
and she
love.
has a convertible. So, okay, I'm in. That was literally my thought process at age 23. And we went to see Ho Hum. It was a great show. We drank about 6 pitchers of beer each. On the way home, I didn't realize her friend liked cocaine. Uh-oh. And I didn't know what cobweb remover is, which is some kind of stuff you spray in a rag and huff it because it helps while you're on cocaine feel gooder.
More gooder.
This is a person driving.
Oh my God.
And
at least they weren't drinking,
She was drinking.
Oh, never mind.
You can drink all you want when you're doing coke.
And
she
smuggled a lot of the alcohol in her belly before the show.
Oh, gotcha.
She was secretive that way.
Tricky.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's like driving along with, we're in Bat Country kind of thing,
sure.
And we're in Memphis. And so the coked up friend of the girlfriend, she's like, we got to stop at this club because I got to pee, and they got some cobweb remover. And I'm thinking, why would you need cobweb right now? We're in a convertible.
Your car seems pretty
Do you live
clean.
in a haunted house? Have you seen a grown man naked? That's for some reason sounds like airplane.
I didn't even know cobweb remover was like a thing.
I don't know if that's what they called it or if that's what it was, and you sniffed it. It was just like...
Is it just like compressed air?
Gas huffing sort of thing.
Huh.
No, it's got to be something if it's getting you high.
Right.
More than compressed air. I'm sure that's just a name for it.
Yeah. I'm thinking Ethel, but that might have been my grandmother's friend. It could have been Happy Esther.
That sounds more like it.
So I go to this club. It's called J-Wags. Little did I know it's the premier gay club of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in and there's a lit up dance floor, literally like Denny Terrio's. Oh my God, I'm older than you guys. There used to be this light up floor, and they had a dance contest right around the disco era, and Denny Terrio was and they would have couples dance. So it was like the 70s disco dance light, 2 guys with cowboy hats kissing, and it was like more than urban cowboy.
Yeah, this is like YMCA.
It was like it was like subterranean cowboy, and so I was like, whatever. I just got to really pee because 6 pitchers of beer will fill your bladder.
Of course,
up, at least 600 milliliters. So I go back to the back, and the men's and women's bathroom, the door's knocked out, but the wall's knocked out between the two. It's all the same thing. And the urinals have this one-way looking mirror. And I'm like, are people watching? Is the other part of the bar going, oh, look at that.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Take a shot. He's got foreskin. So I was just like, who cares? And I peed, and I walked out. And to give you an idea of this club, the lady at the door that checks your ID, she was drunk.
Of course. Okay.
She's the one sorting out out the trash.
Wait a second.
From your more socialite gay people, I guess. And
keeping you under the fire code.
So she comes out and she says, fire code, that's a whole different meaning. You're on fire. She's like, there's a guy in here from New York and he wants you to be in his movie.
Oh. Cool.
I was like, do I dress up like a bunny and masturbate? It sounds fishy to me.
How much are they paying for that?
I didn't even think about the money. I mean, I turned down, going on tour with Depeche Mode.
That's
so
true.
I had my laurels. Is it laurels?
Morals.
Morals and Hardy. I had something. It was all just a false sense of ego and pride, I guess. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And I just ignored her. But the coked up chick, she was interested in being in a movie. So she gave him my number, the girlfriend I was staying with's number, and they were calling me the next day. And I was like, God, these people are tracking me down.
Mm-hmm.
I must be a hot-looking gay. It must be a hot ticket.
They saw your dick.
Yeah, the mirror
It
really
was all part of the
Yeah.
couch casting.
So really,
urinal
that mirror,
casting.
yeah, that
Urinal.
mirror, you can thank that mirror.
Mirror in the bathroom. So the guy called me on the phone. I was like, I had some friends at Discovery, and I was like, we could meet at a gay bar, and I got some people that maybe beat him up if he tries to do roadside surgery on me or whatever they're thinking about doing. And he sent me the script. Somehow I got a hold of the script and read it. I don't remember how I got a hold of that because I don't remember. And then, I'd seen My Own Private Idaho, and I'm like, okay, it deals with some gay theme, but it seems like a pretty cool script. And he had worked with Martin Scorsese, so that has like, say no more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that's a big selling point
For
right there.
sure.
and the producer also had some other stuff, with Summer Phoenix, and name drop some stuff. And the people from New York apparently they had some punk kid that was going to do it, and he backed out, and they were all set up ready to go, and they were out searching diligently, I guess I should say.
Or in this case, that's what he
Yeah,
said.
and the movie would have been a lot different if it would have been a 17-year-old punk kid, because I was about 25 or 6 at the time. You might see
It's called The Delta.
The Delta. Okay,
yeah,
let me see here.
I was on these Subway-sized posters in England. It was shown in Vietnam. It was shown all over the world. It was considered the first.
Oh shit! There you go.
The first album. I'm going back to music. It was considered like the first gay film.
I like how they describe you.
A
in this
genteel
pitch.
Jew.
A gentle Jew.
And an immigrant Vietnamese living in a southern town trying to cope with their homosexuality.
Man, I had a girlfriend. I wasn't homosexual.
Well,
That's
I
not
was
what
just-
the internet says.
are you a genteel Jew?
There's a trailer on there somewhere.
Oh shit!
Is this you in the poster right there?
Yeah, that's the main.
Oh shit!
trailer.
Okay.
And
Let me see if I can find a. There we go.
yeah, that right there.
I don't know if we'll be able to hear it too well, but
But you can just
yeah, get a little idea.
Well, the first scene is I meet the guy in Overton
If
Park,
this
and he
will
gives
load.
me a simulated blowjob.
Loud. Oh shit!
And this scene, it cuts to another scene where I am simulating masturbating in my parents' bathroom.
Okay.
So I guess this is in German.
It's in German. It looks
Yeah,
like
it's-
But that's me.
Oh. Fresh
thought-
face.
I thought I was fat then.
You said you were 25 or 26 here?
Yeah, I think 25 or 6. I also meet another dude in a hotel. That's another story. Wants me to make some muscles for him and stuff.
Yeah. Keep the lights on.
I did get Ashtray Babyhead on the soundtrack
Fucking
though.
nice.
I was like the least I could do if I couldn't get you to Warner Brothers. And we got to hang out at Barristers, and I got to really know the guys in this band called the Grifters and some other stuff.
Mhm.
It was a lot of fun. And I got a bunch of. I had just gotten into nursing school, and I couldn't leave to move to LA after that.
Mm.
And I had New Line Cinema and an entertainment, like that would be a manager of your acting or whatever
Yeah.
agent
Yeah, hey.
Yeah.
called
Okay.
Bohemian Entertainment, and I flew out to LA. I flew out to LA and met the guys from New Line Cinema, and they're like, there's this actor that you kind of remind us of. Is kind of his name's Toby Maguire.
Toby Maguire.
We want you to try out for a couple of things. And I tried out for A Thin Red Line, I Know What You Did Last Summer. That Thing You Do, I think, was where Tom Hanks was the guy, and there was a drummer. They were called the Wonders, but everybody thought they were the Oneaters because it was spelled Wonders. But I basically, and I got a bunch of people, like, they wanted me to try out for Matthew Shepard movie, the kid that got put on the split rail fence and beat up for being gay.
Oh my God.
For an MTV movie, and they told me I was too muscular for that one.
Wow.
And I ended up just...
Did you tell him, yeah, I am?
You're fucking right. You saw me flex in the Delta.
I was so pissed off because some dude I barely knew got the part in A Thin Red Line, and his name was Ed Norton.
Ed Norton.
He got my part.
Oh yeah, that old, Ed Norton, nothing big.
He had a show called Primal Fear or something that he was in, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And
this little known name, Ed Norton.
But then his scene got cut. It was it was a great part. I would have loved to have been in. Thin Red Line was a Vietnam story, really sort of a liberal view of it. And the first scene that I would have had, I was out taking a crap in the jungle, with my bayonet and rifle, and we're starting to get attacked at night, and so I like shoot one of the guys and pull up my pants and like alert everybody and kind of save the platoon, and then the next scene I jump on a grenade and blow myself up and die in Sean Penn's arms. Just think of what would my life be differently between now and
you could have been laying in Sean Penn's arms.
Yeah.
You could have been Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, you could have been Spider-Man, Mr. Tobey Maguire.
I've worked around a lot of radiation, and that's how, in most comic books, that's how you become a superhuman. And
That's
I've been
true.
around
Could have
a
been
lot
the
of
Hulk.
fluoro, so
Yeah.
could have been the bulk.
The bulk. Could have turned into
More like the
Frogman
chunk
here.
now.
The chunk.
But that part, the whole part got cut.
Damn.
He didn't get my part. Screw you, Ed Norton.
Yeah, Ed Norton.
Suck
What do
it,
you
Ed.
know, Ed Norton? Shit.
Why don't you go make a Hulk movie that's not good?
Ooh, shots fired.
Man, but
Ed
you cannot
Norton.
deny the brilliance of Fight Club.
No, that
Yeah.
movie is amazing.
Yeah.
I would hang out with Ed Norton.
Absolutely.
There was a lot that movie had going for it. That whole picture in general,
Man.
between the
cast.
actors, the cast,
Ugh.
the novel. All the writers did a fantastic job converting it to the film.
See, I'd never read the book.
It's one of the only films that you really have to go back more than once to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
You're like-
cinematography is also great. The direction is great. Everything. in
movie is beautiful.
very
I love it.
fantastic.
Which reminds me of Joker.
There we go.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people say it's glorifies violence and the white male, and everybody's going to go out and make a bunch of school shootings
Yeah.
because of it.
See, I feel the opposite.
But what did they say when Taxi Driver came out?
See, I just watched that movie like last night because I
My
wanted
dad,
to.
one of the cool things about my
Yeah.
dad is he let me watch any movie. He's like, if you're gonna, you need to know what the real world is. You can watch it with me. I watch Clockwork Orange, Apocalypse Now with my dad. Anything, just about anything.
See, yeah,
And,
I had always heard like whenever Joker first came out, they compared it to Taxi Driver so much.
Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and they're acting like it's a ripoff, but it's. I think the director is just trying to catch that essence of like late 70s, mid 80s film, and there's not a lot of a super lot of action in it. It's real cerebral.
Yeah,
and
that's what I like about it.
yeah, and I bet he wins an award for that because
hope
nobody dances strangely in their tidy whities anymore like that.
Yep. Yeah,
And
whenever I was going to see that movie, I had such low expectations for it. I was like, man, I'm not a big superhero movie kind of guy, so I was like, whatever.
What's interesting is the parallel that they make about anybody that's been fans of Batman for all these years, fighting crime, doing good for doing justice, and come to find out that his father was probably sort of a corrupt politician.
Yep.
And could have had to do with the demise of his parents, possibly. I don't want to give away anything.
Well, I mean,
and then there's this other scene. The other part is, was his mom making that up, and she was really crazy, and he was adopted?
that's what I'm thinking.
people can really have a lot of money and pay to make you quiet. And she said she was paid money to not say anything.
That's true.
And he would more likely have a mental illness being born of somebody with a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different directions you can go.
Yeah, but
there's other stories in the Batman universe where they do portray Bruce Wayne's father as a bit corrupt, and not, and I think they do that to try to help round out the Batman character with him being so lawfully good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in any hero villain story, it's just like the Dark Knight. If you're the hero long enough, you end up being the villain or something like that.
Sure.
And I think the whole Star Wars universe is like that.
Yeah.
Because it's always good balancing out evil, and evil it's always a balance.
Yeah,
definitely.
Always a yin and a yang, like we said before.
Definitely.
Speaking of yang, we'll go back to the movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's see, what else did I want to say to you guys tonight?
I don't know.
Is it tonight?
Tonight, last night, yesterday night, whatever day today is.
The velvet curtains really do it for me.
Oh yeah, you feel like you're in like a casting couch kind of deal?
No, it just seems more royal.
Yeah. Well, these tan walls are actually very terrible.
Yeah.
And they just help.
Just a peripheral vision of Prince in a thong over there is
that's the
distracting.
Best, right?
God.
I want more naked dudes in this room. I feel like that'll really round it out.
Well, we're all really naked underneath all of our clothing.
That's true too.
Quote unquote Randy Harlan 2019.
Of,
I want more naked dudes in this room.
It reminds me of Maxine's. They have that that curtain like that.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things I did with the movie, I got to go a couple places even though I was in nursing school. It had some premieres in different places other than Sundance. And my friend Clay Bell, that was in Techno Squid Eats Parliament, he was living in San Francisco with his girlfriend. And the Castro is an area of San Francisco, if the watching audience doesn't know, that's predominantly gay. And they're like probably there's the Harvey Milk bar. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they have the best and biggest gay pride parades and stuff there. But here, it was Halloween, and my movie was opening at the Castro, and it's like I think it's 1920s. Really, it kind of reminded me of the Oregon background stuff in Dr. Phibes. It literally had a guy, the organ player would come up, it would raise, and they would. I guess silent movies were they played. I guess organ during the movie. I'm hitting this, and. I'm used to things in my face like this too, so it's weird. Big and black.
Hello.
So, the singer guitar player for Techno Squeeze Parliament, I go to visit him. It's Halloween. I'm like, let's go see the movie. Let's go on the Castro. I mean, if it's already a gay friendly place, then Halloween's going to be off the chain.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I dressed up like a priest. Clay dressed like a Catholic schoolgirl, and his girlfriend dressed up like an angel. And we had the best time ever. I mean, and there's just like thousands and thousands of people. I mean, people on stilts. It was like New Orleans. It was like It was like a gay Mardi Gras Halloween.
Yo.
I mean, and one of the cops, I remember eating a slice of pizza at one of the places or something, and one of the cops said something, and I was talking to him, and he was like, "Oh, you're in that film? I've been meaning to go see it." And the cop, the redneck-looking cop was gay.
Was it a real cop?
Yeah, it was.
Or was it a Halloween costume?
Was it a San Francisco cop?
Yeah, exactly. Is it a YMCA cop or is it like a cop?
He told me he lived down in the village with his people.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
got you. Yeah.
That's not a nightstick.
It's a nightstick.
Bend over. Can I call you Ben?
Oh my. Bender.
I am pretty interested though in that movie. It seems, especially, I would think during the time that it would have come out, I could see it not being like it definitely shocking people. I can't even get my thoughts in order to even say what I'm trying to say. Like really shocking to people, but it would seem like today that would be super relevant.
Well, we went back to Memphis for the whatever anniversary of it, and it was given an award for something like first major gay film,
Yeah,
or I wouldn't say outbreak. It sounds like a gay zombie
This
apocalypse.
movie spread like AIDS.
Stop it, girl. Come here. Grr. I'm vegetarian, so I'm going to eat your grains.
Oh.
Yeah, the dad jokes slip out after 4 kids.
Hey, that's all right.
Oh,
You got to respect the
Jesus.
dad jokes.
Man, sometimes they're very...
It's like the purest form of comedy. It is. You don't think so, Randy?
Because it's dark. It's based on...
Is it?
Dark, deprivated resentment.
Yeah. They come from a dark place, I feel like.
Right. They come from a dark place, but you got to love them. You know what I'm saying?
I had my kids, the two of my... I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and my boys are 7 and 9, and the girls 13 and 16.
Mhm.
And I had Asher and Spencer on the show. I ended up where I had to bring him to the show, and I was like, well, let's just go with it. I'm gonna like interview him and talk to him. So they've been up there a couple of times
Nice.
when my visitation was needed or I needed to watch them or whatever.
Mhm.
And it was interesting to like interview your own son,
Sure.
and like you find out stuff about people interviewing them
Yeah.
that you wouldn't sit down and talk to, while you're watching Surf's Up or whatever for the 20th time.
Did you make any discoveries?
He told me he wanted to be a graphic artist,
Oh, shit,
and he
cool.
was into video games, and one of the artist people that worked with some video game that he saw on YouTube was his inspiration. I was like,
That's cool. Shit.
my other kid was like, I want to be a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, nothing else. It's like, okay, you got the personality for it.
Already working.
All right,
working
kid.
my Twitter.
Good cop, bad cop. I haven't had my girls up there yet, but it's kind of hard. It's like 9 to 11.
Yeah.
But as a nurse, I do 3 12-hour shifts. So most of my shifts are like 8:30 till 9 at night.
Mm-hmm.
But on the days, if I have to work the day of the show, I'll try to do like 6:30 in the morning and get off at 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I've usually have done 2 or 3 12-hour shifts and then gotten up super early the next day, worked all day, usually had a couple-hour visit with my kids, and then I'm doing the show, and people are like, and our show's on a little late. I don't know if I can... I'm like, dude, I've just worked 50 hours, and I'm doing this for free.
Yeah, right.
You can listen to a song.
So how did you fall into that gig?
I was hanging out with the guys from Casual Pleasure. The guy, he calls himself on the radio Bert Lager. There was Bert and Lou Lager, and Lou moved away, but he landed a show called Phonomania. His show is Wednesdays 7 to 9. He plays a little more psychedelic, a little more like Ariel Pink and like obscure Spanish 1960s psychedelic bands, but he also plays a lot of similar stuff as I do. And he didn't really like playing local music. And Aaron that I was in Techno Squid with, he had Shug Radio for a while, and he did really well in promoting stuff. So I knew Aaron. Our band was interviewed on KABF back in like '92, back when they actually had albums. And Lou Lager moved away, and I was like, hey, he was like, you want to be my sidekick for a while? I was like, that'd be great. He's like, you pick out half the songs, I'll pick out half. We'll talk about stuff in between and just have a show. And I was like, that's cool. So we would just get blitz and just go do the show and hang out, and it was a lot of fun. Because I could sit around and talk about music all day,
Sure.
sober or not.
Yeah.
And that's all you did. And then, I like introducing people to stuff they may have not. I've got some listeners. One person has heard every single show, and she'll hear a song and she'll go buy it off of iTunes.
Wow. Nice.
And she met Illusionaut and became a fan of them. And she's a brilliant artist in her own right. She's also an artist. And we call her the Night Owl. She calls herself the Night Owl. And, I have like this I think I saw Brian Crook. I think I saw Ryan on here doing the live FaceTime thing, and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
he got like 300 people looking at you, and this guy's from Switzerland. That's
Yep.
crazy. I interviewed him on the show both
Oh, yeah.
about Lucky Bella and the new Illusionaut album right when it came out.
Yeah.
And
Go listen on Spotify and Apple Music.
yeah,
Illusionaut.
Illusionaut. Yeah, I have one of their songs on my Halloween playlist for this Thursday.
Because they're the best.
Lucifer sounds Halloween-y.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I got some Sea Hag on there.
Yeah.
Good
old Jeremy.
Quiet Mansion is on there.
Oh, man, I want to get those dudes in here real bad.
They're gonna have they have a new album coming out.
Yeah, they've been killing me. They don't have anything. They don't have much out and about that you can find. They're
real nice, laid back guys. I finally met them for the first time last night, and the music's really good. And what's crazy is, as post pop keyboardy as they are, the drummer, he doesn't have any extra triggers or anything. He's just like on an old school Gretsch drum set, just banging away.
Yeah.
And they blew my mind and played Bela Lugosi's Dead last night. I wasn't expecting that.
They're so good,
and,
man.
They're sick.
They killed it. But I'm looking forward to their new album. Those guys are from Fayetteville.
Yeah.
So it's just awesome. I part of one of the programs I got into with getting sober. When I first got into it, I was forced to go to it from the nursing board because I was on probation. But I was like, hey, don't be an asshole. Try to give more than you receive, and try to be nice to other people. Don't have resentment, and try not to cause chaos, and try to control your response and not be in control, because a lot of people's frustration is they expect something to be a certain way, and you've got no control over it really, and it's never going to be that way, so you're constantly frustrated through life. So just in the last couple of years, it's come almost like I saw your interview with the photographer of the Abandoned. Is it Rebecca?
Ginger Beck.
Ginger Beck. That's where I got the Beck.
Yeah. Ginger Beck.
Abandoned Arkansas.
Yeah. Cool. You said, so who is Ginger? I wanted you to ask me, and I wanted to be like, I'm still trying to find out. Get all zen with you. But oh my God, what was I talking about? Think about
it. The radio gig.
Yeah, Gray Matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were co-host with
how you
homeboy.
fill in.
Thanks. I was just checking if you were listening.
Yeah.
So this a guitar player, a solo band's girlfriend sent me something on Facebook and said, hey, can you play my boyfriend's stuff? It's really cool. And I listened to it. It was pretty cool. And I was like, why don't you call the guy who really runs the show and tell, I'm sure he'll play one of the songs. And he wrote me, I don't think he meant it mean. He was just like, I'd rather somebody be matter of fact with me than beat around the bush anyway. He's like, look, I can't just have musicians' girlfriends calling me up trying to play their boyfriend's music all the time.
Yeah.
If you want to do that shit, you just get your own damn show.
Boom.
Fair enough.
And
Perfect.
At first I was like, oh my God, I thought we were friends. Why can't you just help promote something local, But that's not what he wanted the show to be about, and you got to respect that.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, I could have my own show.
Yeah.
I guess you just go talk to the people he talked to.
Yeah.
And I kind of presented it to him. And after a couple months, they talked about different slots and granted me. They did a DNA test and a physical, and you had to pass a physical fitness test.
Of course.
Sure. Anything owned by the public, right?
It's a real strange time at the station, though. But it's been around since '84, and it's 100,000 watts, which is basically about the edge. About that's big time wattage. There's only like 6 community radio stations in America that have that much. So from the center of Little Rock, it goes out past Hot Springs.
Damn.
It goes like if you pulled a perimeter out of a circle and it touched all the edges, it basically, there's some corners at the very end in Arkansas you can't hear. But it's strange to be sitting there alone talking to yourself in a box, and then somebody will chime in saying, yeah, I'm listening online from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Or they'll call in and say, I was driving back, I just got off work from logging. I heard that weird song, I Am the Fly, with the Cramps. That shit was cool, man. And you're just like, wow, there's people out there listening. It's a crazy media way to teach people. But to teach people, to teach them new music.
Yeah.
Not teach them.
Like put them on.
Yeah.
Show them.
Turn them on.
Turn them on.
Yeah.
Turn them on and then turn them off.
And I like to claim that escape the familiar, and you're probably not going to hear the same kind of playlist on any other radio show. Because who else goes from Long Island washboard by something from the 20s into Unknown Pleasures or something like that from Joy Division.
Yeah.
And somehow it works.
Yeah.
But I was awarded the show, and a friend of mine, the guy Lou Logger that left, it's not really Lou, but that's what he calls himself, Lou and Bert Logger, and I was Ducky Logger on there for a while. And I even have Ducky Logger as a Facebook, like a pseudo name. It's really cool. I go like my own stuff. It's like your post is doing better than all the rest. I like me so hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know
a lot.
that feeling.
You can do some weird stuff with, and I wish people would. Here's my two things: if you're going to see live music, film long ways, because nobody's TV is faced up and down.
Yeah.
And don't film from the back when there's only two people there. Get behind the two people and take a picture, so it looks like it was so crowded you had to take a picture.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of these bands, they sort of catch on to it. They're like, it was a great show tonight. You were there with like two people.
Packed out.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's
it's
the
sad,
trick.
man.
Yeah.
It's like people want to just stay home and flip on their phone and watch Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's something about live music. It's like the feeling between a show and a concert. The concert I went to first was Huey Lewis and the News at Robinson Barton Coliseum. And that was with Robert Cray opening. And then I went to this hole-in-the-wall place, was offered acid, walked through the spaceship system, and then people were jumping on and floating across the crowd with kids playing music that were younger than me. That was just like... So there's some energy there. And I know I'm all over the place. This is something else I've thought was interesting. The Delta is in the South. It was basically about how it was weird for a gay guy, the director, to grow up in the South as a gay guy. And the Delta is a triangle, but it's also like the deltas of the rivers, and they consider it Delta, and a lot of the music is called Delta music, like blues and stuff. Well, a lot of the music I was turned on to by the goth girl in high school, come to find out the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and all these other bands from Manchester, and the Sex Pistols, not as much as Sex Pistols, but they dug music for my own backyard. The stuff that I love was influenced by something that most of white people my age and younger aren't even aware exists. So
exactly.
And also I really seem to like the Manchester from like the northern part of England, and that's more your factory workers and your poorer. Whenever you have a system that's holding you back and you're poor and you're bored and you're kind of locked away, walled in the country, a lot of good art comes from that sometimes. Like art comes from pain, they say.
Yep. Blue collar.
And so I think England's sort of like the South is their North. They're Cockneys. That's their hillbillies. And that's the Sex Pistols went there and played the Free Trade Union Hall in Manchester in like 77 or 8. And there were like 30 people at that show. And I think it was Buzzcocks from Manchester opened, and it was Sex Pistols. The 30 people in that show, 35 of them made a band. Like, people were saying they were there that weren't even there.
Yeah.
There was The Fall with Marky Smith, Simply Red, the redheaded dude that's British that sings some kind of 80s hit song that sounds not punk rock at all. Simply Red?
I don't know Simply Red.
Oh my God, I can't think of the name, but I'm sure you've heard the song. Joy Division, which turned into New Order. Later on, Oasis, Buzzcocks, and all that stuff. And I met I was at a show in Washington, D.C., and I met a band called the Cribs, which I think they were closer to Liverpool and not as much from Manchester, but we were talking about this whole scene. I hung out with them afterwards, and it was really cool. And Johnny Marr from the Smiths ended up playing with that band for a while. He played with the Cribs for a while, and they also played with Modest Mouse for a little bit. But anyway, so I've had conversations with people from there, and it was kind of like trying to draw the parallels of the South and the Delta. So along with every show I play on Gray Matter Radio, I try to play at least one local band, and I try to play new music if I'm able to, and then just a range of whatever I was in the mood for.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm thinking of doing like a weather theme where everything's like Bad Moon Rising, Shelter from the Storm, Give Me Shelter, Here Comes the Rain Again. You know, sometimes I'll do some stupid themes.
Raining Blood. Put on some Slayer.
REIGH. Rain. And but also not everybody realizes Al Green, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Johnny Cash, Billy Lee Riley. There's a lot of people from Arkansas that are well-known musicians that don't really get credit for coming from Arkansas.
Al Green's from Arkansas? I had no clue.
There's a lot.
There you go.
So on top of all that, I'll say, yeah, this is an Arkansas artist, and she basically was one of the first electric guitarist rock and roll influences.
Yeah, Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
And she's a lesbian black lady.
Yeah, she should get credit for rock and roll in general.
So I think it's interesting and every time I do a show, I'll set up the playlist and I'll be listening to songs, and whatever I like, I'll add to my playlist, and then kind of like filter through it and stuff, and then I'll type it all out, and then if I have time and some downtime or whatever, I'll go on the internet and I'll Google the song and the name of the artist, and I found out where they're from, the year it was recorded, maybe, and that is just like a study in music itself. I mean, to realize that The Idiot by Iggy Pop was the album that was playing when Ian Curtis hung himself from Joy Division.
Oh shit, I didn't realize that.
That David Bowie produced that. David Bowie also produced with Lou Reed Transformer. And then you start drawing all these parallels and like similarities, and you just learn like they say, to really learn something, you teach something, and because you study it more, so you could tell somebody about it.
It's real funny you say that, because I mean, I'm sure you saw my vinyl shelf out here. I have an Instagram just for my vinyl, and that's what I'll do. I'll play the vinyl, I'll listen through it, I'll find the song on the album I like the best,
right,
pictures of it, put it up there, and then I start digging through and trying to find some stuff about the album and all kinds of the history about it and the artist. And
actually the guy who was I was talking about that Spectrum Arkansas showcase, Luther Jim Dickinson, one of his sons or two of his sons are in the Mississippi All Stars. They still play music.
Really? But
he produced Big Star 3. If you want to start off with a mind-blowing headphones album, pick up, it's been called Third Sister or Sister Lovers or Third, but it's Big Star's third album, and it's produced by Jim Dickinson. And the stories that I heard from the people that helped record that and from Jim Dickinson is really amazing. And Jim Dickinson was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. He has I have an autobiography book about him too, but you should look up, if you're interested in Arkansas music and some weird stuff like just all the things he had his finger in, and how he was just an odd hillbilly, like free spirit sort of cat that was just kind of, and he was a good musician, piano player too. He had music too, but I
didn't realize he was born here.
If you look up Jim Dickinson and then see what he's produced, just the albums that he's produced, and to think that guy was born in Little Rock.
Yeah, started here.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was friends with. I hung out with the group when I first started UALR. It was called the Coalition for Peace and Justice. I guess it's the modern hippies. And for some reason, I was kind of drawn to this group. And there was Randall Lyon was a guy, and a lot of them were into Doctors for Bob and the Church of the Subgenius. If you've heard of any of that. That's a whole nother black hole in the internet. If you look up Church of the Subgenius, there's some Little Rock folks. A friend of mine named Sterno, who is
it some kind of group?
You just look it up, man.
Okay.
It's just hard to explain.
Interesting.
I've got some albums here from Jim Dickinson.
Yeah, Jim Dickinson, man.
Let's see if we know any of these here.
Um,
Apparently, he just passed away, I guess not that long ago. Heart failure.
Hit that Wikipedia link.
does it show what albums he's produced, though?
I think these are some of them.
No, hit that Wikipedia
I
link.
am.
Okay.
Let's see.
There's Third Sister Lovers Under Tea.
Oh, yeah.
But some of it's real weird and obscure, and some of it is Dash Rip Rock. You probably heard of them. There's got to be more than that.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know.
That's Wikipedia for you.
Yeah,
It
right.
may not reflect recent. Yeah, okay.
But I'm sure it'll say on there that he was born. Yeah, born in
Little Rock right there.
raised
41.
in Chicago, and then Memphis. So he was well rounded with good music between Arkansas, Chicago, and Memphis.
Yeah.
Let's see, here's some of the names I think he worked with.
I know that another guy from Little Rock is the Panther Burns. What is the name of the guy? I've just gone blank.
Panther Burns.
Never heard of the Panther
The name of the band is the Panther Burns, but even Alex Chilton toured with this guy. He was from Arkansas. He was born in Arkansas, I believe.
I'm not familiar with Panther Burns.
It's a guy's name, and he's kind of like a hillbilly mixed with a Dracula mixed with a musician.
Felix will find it, yeah.
I'm trying.
What's his name?
Here. Tav Falco.
Tav Falco, yeah.
Tav Falco's Panther Burns. Huh?
So I know that all these guys, and so he's kind of like this anti-artist at one point, and he's on the show in Memphis, and they're like, "So people like your music?" And he introduces people, and Alex Chilton from the Box Tops and Big Star is touring with him playing guitar, and he introduces them as Axel Chitlin instead of Alex Chilton, and it's just like, I don't know, he's part of the joke, and the joke is you, and he's in on it, kind of thing.
What? Tav Falco's Panther
He played
Burns.
here recently at Whitewater, and one of his producers hit me up, and he said, "Hey, thanks for playing Tav on your radio show. He's going to be at Whitewater if you'd like to meet him."
Wow.
And I got sick that night. I was going to
that.
do one of those like, "Hey, this is Tav Falco. You're listening to Gray Matter Radio."
Yeah, that would have been
But,
really cool.
It's a whole nother subculture. Like, you can just get into, just like with the Church of the Subgenius. Just follow some of the stuff with Jim Dickinson.
Yeah, I need this shit on a T-shirt.
Have you guys seen any of the stuff? 24-Hour Party People, the movie. It's about Manchester music and Tony Wilson. He had a TV series or a show called So It Goes, and it follows a lot of the Manchester music scene from before Joy Division, after Ian Curtis kills himself, Factory Records, Happy Mondays, and stuff like that. And that's a really good show. And then there's a book called Control based on Ian Curtis of Joy Division. His wife wrote a book that I've read. It's called Touching from a Distance, and it's based off of that book. It's really cool. So if you really like to, you'd be a Joy Division fan if you watch Control and 24-Hour Party People.
Yeah.
It's just really, really well done. I had a chance in 2015 when I went to overseas again, and I had an extra day, and I was in Birmingham, not Alabama. Birmingham is Alabama. Birmingham is in England.
Right.
And you may have heard the show Peaky Blinders.
Heard of
that
it.
was
Is
set,
that the one about the gangsters and yeah? Mm-hmm.
That's set in Birmingham, and also some band like Black Sabbath, I think's the name. Ozzy Osbourne. He's from Birmingham.
I've heard of them before.
Okay, I got you.
So they're there, and it's a little ways further north to Manchester. And I talked to my friend I was with, and they were like, I wanted to get on a train and visit stuff in between, but the train only takes you there. And she said, as long as you have the train ticket, you can ride and get off anywhere in between to and from. So I at dawn walked down to this train station and went to Macclesfield, where Ian Curtis killed himself in their flat. He had a daughter named Natalie. That's my first daughter's name. I named her after Natalie from Ian Curtis. Actually, this tattoo here is of the album Unknown Pleasures.
Yep, Unknown Pleasures.
And Brooke did this one. And of my 4 tattoos, 2 of them were done there at Lucky Bella, and this Thunderbird was done by Ryan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And just between music, the tattoos, his band, the radio show, it's amazing, like, what things, it's like butterfly wings, like, you don't know what's going to touch somebody else. Like, I probably would have never heard of you. I might have, like, through the music scene, seen one of your posts for this.
Yeah.
But it would have been, it's just strange. And really the first time I really met Ryan is I went to that 12 Guitars of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we just started talking, I think. And then that was before I even had the radio show.
Yeah, that'll be coming back up soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to go ahead and, since you're exclusive viewers, when they're giving away this $1,000 thing, their main words that they use, if you just at 30 minutes of each hour during the day, the weekdays, type in pan, rock, wings, or square, you're probably going to be one of the keywords.
Oh.
So you don't even have to listen to the radio.
All right.
Just for watching this, you get my exclusive way.
Tricky.
I haven't won $1,000 yet, but I did get this tattoo from going online to Edge and signing up every day. And if you like them on Facebook or whatever, you get more votes and you share
Sure.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I won front row to like Travis Tritt or something. And I was like, that's cool. Second row, seats 1 and 2.
Nice.
And I was talking to some nurse friends, and they're like, man, those tickets are like $300. I was like, no way. And I looked them up, and it was like a $600 package for 2 tickets. And they're like, are you going? I was like, no.
You didn't go?
She's like, I'll give you $150.
Wow.
Bet.
So this is a country music bought me my Joy Division tattoo.
Thanks, Travis Tritt.
Nice.
And I got to talk to him a lot. I mean, that's pretty intricate with all the lines and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite album covers. It's the first recorded radio signals from Pulsar Star.
Mm.
And it was like in an encyclopedia in the 70s, and Joy Division liked it. And I, because it was just like, kind of like Spinal Tap, where there's just the Black Album. They just wanted something simple on there, I guess. But if you go online and look up Unknown Pleasures about the history of where they got the album, it's pretty interesting. But it was like India Ink, and these are all pulsars from the star. But as a nurse, sometimes that shows a little bit, and they're like, "Are those EKG rhythms?"
Oh man.
Or some people like, "You like the Rocky Mountains?" I'm like, "It's whatever you want it to be." Man.
That's tough.
I do like the Rocky Mountains.
That's a tough
in
set
fact.
right there.
Uh,
You'd have to.
You know, I
give 'em
didn't get my first tattoo until about 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
a- Really?
My father was always like, "Your body is your temple; those are permanent. You know, not while you're living under my roof." And he was a police officer too, so everybody he pulled over had long hair and tattoos. So you think everybody with long hair and tattoos is a criminal?
Sure.
I mean, you just kind of like, that's the genre. So I think he basically taught me how to get away with crime longer because I looked like an all-American kid.
Yes, sir.
If you look honest and like all-American, throw out that you serve for your country.
Mm-hmm.
it is true.
Just a good old boy.
That's some white privilege country.
Uh-huh. There you go.
It's a real thing. The opposite happens when you look the opposite.
Uh-huh. Of course. Of
Um,
course.
The others I got it at the parlor. They were doing like these $13 for a tattoo with a 13 on it for
Yeah.
Halloween or something. I think it was actually Friday the 13th back when
Yep.
they had the shows at the parlor.
Yep.
And I knew Scott Diffie from back when he was riding BMX bikes and doing tricks and stuff like that. And I would always said, if I ever get a tattoo, you're going to be one of the people that give me my tattoo. So it wasn't him that night. He wasn't available. And my friend paid for it. So I was
Hell yeah.
but then I made this big thing about it. You know, it's a 13. And then it was the only tattoo on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like something you got from Cracker Jacks. And you're like,
Sure.
that little tattoo's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You've been in prison? You must be hardcore.
Yeah, that's
So
how.
then,
all those
pull out
13
that
tattoos
Southwest,
are.
that
Then I
Southwest
throw
shit.
the 09
Uh-huh,
on.
yeah. I'm
I
on
want to
Niner.
do an 09er show where I play all the music I listened to back on
Do
the
it.
block.
Yeah,
You should.
do it.
Which, I mean, it would still include Scorpions and Def Leppard
Mhm.
and Ozzy Osbourne. But I was breakdancing back then too.
Oh, yes, dude.
Wiki,
yes.
wiki, wiki, wiki.
Yes, yes.
What were you breakdancing to?
Man,
Fucking Black Sabbath, man.
no. My favorite album was the Breakin' soundtrack, but there was some album that was I got some kind of rap thing. The guy that I was on a breakdancing team with, his name was James Brown.
Yo.
So you know you got it good, like 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
one of my favorite scenes is Breakin' the movie, Breakin' an apostrophe without the G, Breakin', and they play Kraftwerk, and Turbo dances with a broom.
What?
Look up Breakin' apostrophe or N apostrophe and then broom dance. And
Breaking broom dance. 84.
it's right there.
Right here.
Street sweeping right there.
Classic
Street
train
sweep.
jazz
But
dancing.
so it blew my mind. I never heard of Kraftwerk, and this was what, I don't know, 84. So I was 12 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, 12. And here I'm introduced to Kraftwerk, this German electronic band, and this dude's breakdancing to it in like a Brooklyn sort of New York type of scene.
Oh, shit.
Man, this is classic.
Wow, look at those moves.
Yo, move it.
But what's cool is it's not playing to rap. It's not like it's. I mean, there was some good stuff like broken glass everywhere. Ha ha ha! It's like a jungle sometime. But he's playing to a German electronic music in this one.
Just a break. Yeah.
That's Turbo. The other guy's Ozone, and then the girl they meet, Special K, and she's a regular dancer, and they teach them the way of breakdancing. And they didn't fight back then; they breakdance battled.
There was this one movie I saw, man. I don't even remember it. I don't remember the name of it. Jerry showed it to me because he loves to show me awful, like, 80s movies.
Are you saying this is awful?
Dude, the movie I saw was awful. It was these bunch of, like, ballerina, like, very, proper dancers. And then this break crew, challenged them to, like, a dance-off, and there's this big competition about it.
That might be in this one.
Dude, no, it's not. It's, oh, my God. I'd have to ask him the name. It's so fucking
Speaking of bad,
dude.
good movies, have you seen They Live?
Mm-mm.
I haven't seen all of They Live, but I've seen parts.
It's Rowdy
of it.
Roddy Piper,
Yeah.
the wrestler,
With the
and they put
goggles, right?
they
Yeah.
find these sunglasses and they
Yeah.
figure out who the infiltrating aliens are with these special sunglasses.
yeah.
What?
And then when they put the sunglasses, like they're walking by this magazine rack, and it says, Marlboro cigarettes, and the guy has cash. He puts the glasses on, and it says consume, conform.
Whoa.
Money is your god.
Yeah.
And
Damn.
there's a famous line, I throw it in on the show sometimes. He said he goes into a bank and he like figures out who these people are, and he goes around and starts shooting the aliens. And he says, I came here to chew bubble gum and to kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. That's what that's from.
Yeah,
Classic.
Duke Nukem stole
Yeah, that's
that
some
from
Duke.
him.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah?
That's where I
Yeah.
heard it was Duke Nukem.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
got it from They Live.
Mm.
I'm thinking it might be a Romero film, like the guy who did all the...
It's actually funny how much stuff comes from that film.
Really?
Yeah, there's
and
a
then-
lot.
Wow.
Another interesting thing that I thought was cool with that in 2015 Techno Squiddies Parliament album we did, we called We're Back, What Did We Miss? Hey, we were here the whole time. What's up, y'all? Oh, everybody's looking at their phone and not talking to each other, and music's gone to crap,
What
and the
did we
music
miss?
industry is on its... And I was talking to... We are always talking about what the best flyer is and the best band name, and Pap Smear Ribbon is my favorite punk band if I ever make one.
Nice.
But then there's the guitar player, Pat Smear, that's played with Nirvana and the Germs. But anyway, Billy Rubin and the Enzymes is good too. Man, I could just talk all the time. And I was like, what am I going to say? I'm so tired. I have nothing to say.
Killed it.
I'm not cool.
Hey,
You'd
yeah,
be surprised.
Dude, we killed it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people that have started out like that,
Mhm.
and then once you get them in here,
We get into
Yeah.
some
get them
shit.
warmed up.
Mhm.
I just like to share the things that I like and know,
Yeah.
and find things that are in common with people, because there's too many differences. People try to find differences in people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's just like you said, like the like just the few degrees of separation, because had it not been for Ryan playing your show, I probably wouldn't have had an idea who you were.
And I'm sure that, like, if I send, hey mom, I'm on this podcast and here's a goat with the upside down cross,
right?
They'd be very proud.
A lot of people won't, they're so close minded that they won't give that even a chance.
Sure. I mean, yeah, and even just
the same
name.
with music and the name.
For sure.
But other than the name and the way we look and the logo, we got everything going for you.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like Techno Squiddies Parlin ended up in techno.
And funk and.
So Aaron Sarlo said, did you know NASA has no copyrights because the government, the people, we own NASA, so you can use any NASA photograph on a flyer.
Oh wow! Okay.
So for a while we were going in the old like with the guy with the jetpack or the weird and. He was putting that on, and he did some research and found out that the Night of the Living Dead is no longer copyright written. Like, you can show it anywhere and charge people for it. You can use it on a T-shirt and no royalties or copyright infringement.
Nice.
So the front of the Techno Squid album is a scene from the Night of the Living Dead, and the zombies are walking up to the people's house, and they've all come out of their graves and stuff. And one of them has a toe tag type of thing on their arm, and he wrote TSEP for Techno Squiddies Parliament. And the album title is supposed to be like, "We're back, what did we miss? Are we back from the dead, or are you guys zombies?" It's kind of like the question there.
Oh, okay, all right.
But there's some good. There's this one of my favorite songs off that album is called Buck Rogers. And it's about a girl that he likes, but she likes Buck Rogers. And he wished that he was Buck Rogers so he could kiss the girl.
Yeah, who doesn't?
I used to be hang around with Ben Nichols from Lucero. He was actually one of the before Techno Squid. I was in a band called Victory Garden. Victory Garden is what they would make, I think, during World War II to help supply their own. Like, you'd make a garden, it's a victory garden for the war, but you were also taken off of the economy by helping grow your own food or something like that. Anyway, so the name of the band was Victory Garden. And there was a band called the Harbingers and Link Springs, and they were more of the REM pop sort of Techno Squid sounding stuff, more than but they were the same scene as the Numbskulls and Trusty and all that, the early. And Ben had long hair and kind of sang kind of higher and nasally in both of those bands, and he played bass. And then he was in another punk with Colin Brooks, that drummer. God, he's a drummer slut. There's an awesome pop punk band called Red 40.
Yeah.
Like from the name of the dye that they use in Cokes or whatever. And I think it's Red 40. And I think he gets on guitar and he sings in that one. But anyway, sometimes stuff like, when somebody has made it pretty decent in the music industry, but then when they see you in a bar and they're like, I really liked Techno Squiddies Parliament and some of that songwriting influenced this and that. A couple of guys from the American Princes, they did really well. They were on a label. And the lead singer, David Slade, came to me once and he's like, you had quit the band. It was like you did the movie, but you're back living in Little Rock. And there was Fresh Blood Night at Vino's, which I wish they would bring back, to like throw together any band, all ages, just played and have a stage to play on. Was an awesome thing, and good music and meeting other people is cool from that. But I think he played in a band called Halo 8. And I don't even remember this. And they told me I did acid, too. I don't remember some of the drugs they told me I took, so I must have taken a lot. I don't know. Maybe I just have a bad memory. But he said that they were playing and people were talking in the audience over them, like a quiet part of the song. And he said I got up and was like, listen, you're here to listen to the music. The music is what you're here for. This is a band. They're brand new. Their kids trying their best, and they have the balls to get up here. And until you can make a band and you have the guts to get up here and try something, you guys just need to shut up and listen to this band. And he was like, everybody shut up, and we played, and it was like the greatest rock and roll thing. I don't even remember doing it.
Holy shit.
And maybe I like embellished it a little bit too, but it's interesting how, a lot of people remember Techno Squiddies Parliament. It's just weird. and we had videos about to hit MTV. And it's just strange to almost make it in a band and almost make it in the film industry. And then, I don't know. I can't seem to get out of Little Rock now.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's not a bad place to be.
The cost of living is good.
Yeah.
I just... I have a friend that lives near Dallas, and there's just so much more good music that will come.
Unfortunately,
even Memphis, 2.5 hours away.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is we're stuck in the middle between the two.
Yeah,
so
for
we're just a pass through.
Yeah, it's
really.
also a good.
Every once in a while,
that's why Benton is a good drug drop off for the government that had to cover up for the guys on the tracks, sort of thing.
True. Yeah.
But I always thought. I mean, even the Rolling Stones got arrested coming through Arkansas up north at one point. I think Keith Richards talks about it. But Little Rock is in the middle, exactly in the middle. I mean, I think in Bryant at some graveyard, there's a historical marker. You're in the exact center of Arkansas. So we're real close to the center. You've got St. Louis, New Orleans, Dallas, and Memphis. It's not exactly across. And we're right in the dead crosshairs of that.
Yeah.
And people will drive right past us. And then you go to a show and see how the audience reacts. And I would drive right past us, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Unfortunately.
I think there's a song about Little Rock by, oh my gosh, what's the name of the band? I can't remember. But they came through Little Rock and played at Sticky's when it first opened. And somebody stole the chick, one of the musicians' hats. And they were like, Little Rock sucks. Nobody showed up, and they stole my damn hat.
Yeah.
Of Montreal is the name of that band. But
Have you heard David Cross's spiel about Little Rock?
God, no.
He did a little comedy show at Vino's, and he got heckled by some redneck hillbilly, which was terrible. He talked shit because the green room was the alley, you know.
well, there's actually a green room at Vino's in the back. A lot of people don't know. If you ever get a chance to get up on that stage, go back behind the stage a little bit. And there's a brick room that makes you feel like a...
Yeah, he tore it.
It's more like
apart.
Understandably so.
Unfortunately, there seems to be a bit of a local revival, though.
Yeah,
I feel
for sure.
like. I feel like there's some
know.
stuff recently.
I think a lot of people are... the reason cover bands do so well is because people don't like to think, and if they're already comfortable with the music that somebody already told you was cool... I mean, a lot of this music, did somebody have money to make somebody play it a lot and it became popular because they heard it on the radio, or was it really good music?
Yeah.
There is a cross between the two where you really got good bands that just had a good backing, but there's a lot of crappy music too.
Of course.
Certainly.
And I think there's a movie called Towncraft about Arkansas music, mostly the punk scene. Techno Squiddy's Parliament was completely on purpose left out of it. We weren't even mentioned in it, I think, because of one of the I think the producer's sister got dicked over by somebody in the band or something. But there was some kind of grudge, but we weren't really. It was more about the punk scene and Trusty and all that stuff. And that's a cool thing to see if you can listen to the soundtrack or watch the movie called Towncraft. It's an interesting Little Rock scene, and it if it was an MRI, that's just one slice of the body that you're picking out that they talk about. And I think they mentioned Ashtray Babyhead, but mostly it's just all you got to be cool and part of the punk rock club to be in it. Yeah. But Paul Bowling, the bass player for Trusty, he's interviewed on it and says some really cool stuff about Little Rock. And I think that he says something along the lines of that it's there's too much good stuff in one small area, and I don't know. There's not a lot of helping each other out without wanting something in return.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of backstabbing or talking crap behind your back.
That is true.
I think one of the best clubs in a long time that's closed now because it's one of the good ones. It was kind of what I considered the CBGBs of Little Rock, and that was Downtown Music.
Yeah.
When I first went there was poetry, an art show, 607 the Rapper rapping over some Radiohead song, A+ setup, some punk rock band, and then almost like a country western sort of Americana band. All on the same night, people talking to each other, getting along, enjoying the art. I mean, art is art, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it gets real. It's real sad that people will only. I mean, the thing that I like Vino's, and I don't hate heavy metal. It's not my favorite type of music, and but that's mostly the biggest draws I've seen lately is just heavy metal at Vino's, and it used to be, you would see like funkadelic stuff and punk, and more of your power pop. You would see like used to Vino's when it first started. Every Friday and Saturday, everybody would go there, no matter what band it was, and pay the $5. And I'm kind of like the $5 cover. Things were $5 when my band played in '92, and now people are like, "Oh, can you get me on the guest list? It's $5."
Yeah.
Let me get that $6 shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And these 5 beers for $5 each. But the guy that I'm friends with and supporting, I want to not pay for 20% of what he's going to get of the cut.
Yeah.
I mean, if the max people in there is 350 people, fire code, and you're paying $5 each, sold out. How much? What's 5 times 350?
A lot.
It's not
enough.
but it's not.
Especially if you have to split that
with
between
the 3
the
or 4
club
bands,
and
then you pay the sound man, who always gets paid no matter whether the band does or not.
Right.
There's a bar back. Sometimes they won't even pay for the bar back because they don't figure a lot of people, they'd rather them just go up front, I guess. But I don't know. Also, with Gray Matter Radio, I haven't done it in a while, but I try to interview people of Little Rock, of doing something. Like I've had Ryan on there for Illusionaut and the Tattoo of Lucky Bella. I've interviewed Chris King, who runs Stickies and Rev Room. Yeah. He actually booked Techno Squid when we first went to Fayetteville at JR's Lightbulb back in '92 or whatever. So I knew him from back then, and it was kind of cool to talk about old times there. Darian Stribling has a really good, in Austin, Arkansas, he has Blue Chair Studios.
Yeah.
There's a Scottish musician that I interviewed who's always been around Vino's, and we talked about some of the stuff that he's done. I had Aaron Sarlo. I want to do Clay, like something called Clay Bell from Techno Squid, and because he's still got his own new stuff and some acoustic stuff, and he plays in an 80s cover band called Pop Rocks, and it sounds funny and everything, but he probably makes as much money as I do doing that.
Oh, wow.
And he's done shows in Vegas with, like, Mark McGrath comes out on stage, or the singer for Poison's done a song with him. It's just like, wow. Used to, Techno Squid, we wouldn't even do a cover song because we were so I don't know if it was like anti-frat or anti-frat mentality.
Yeah.
You know, just like drink beer and beat people up sort of thing. Because we figure if you had to have somebody to tell you what music was cool, then you'd like a cover band and nobody's going to get up and dance unless Billy Bob, the leader of the crew, gets up and dance.
Sure.
Don't wait for somebody to tell you something's cool. You got your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like something, you know, dance like nobody's watching, I guess. We're all made of star stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's
don't beat people up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're a little bit over 2 hours now.
Oh my gosh.
That goes quick.
We're gonna wrap this up. If you want to hear more from Shayne,
is there a place we can find Psychedelic Squid somewhere? Is it still out and about?
Techno Squid.
Techno Squid.
Psychedelic. Yeah, my bad.
Well,
Sorry,
I mean,
Techno Squid.
if you got Spotify, you can listen to. It's on both the albums are on there.
Yeah.
Techno Squid. It's Techno-Squid Eats Parliament.
Eats Parliament. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Gray Matter Radio. Just check out the Facebook or Instagram, and it's on Twitter. But I don't twat a lot.
That's the same thing with us. We're there, but
yeah.
Just in spirit mostly.
But it's cool things like it's like you're doing an interview of something local, and now I have to have you on my show.
Oh hell yeah!
But when I have somebody on, you get to pick like 15 songs that you like and tell me about how they influenced you.
Oh
so
man, yeah.
That really brings out a lot of people's
I'm
like
totally
nostalgia.
down.
Yeah, that would.
I don't know if my music would be to your crowd's taste though. I'm a little more. I'm not as rock.
But that's okay.
Okay.
I mean that's even better because it helps you not get stuck in a rut.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, only thing that really I think turns people off if it's just somebody rage yelling into a thing, and it's
Yeah,
just like,
it's not necessarily that, but that's
but there's some good stuff like that too.
Sure.
But yeah, check out Shayne on Spotify, Techno Squid Eats Parliament. Check out Shayne on Facebook, Gray Matter Radio on KABF 88.3 FM or at Gray Matter Radio. KABF.org.
You can listen to it online there as well.
Yep,
right?
you'll find
If you go to listen live, it has to be between 9 and
11 on Thursdays.
Central Standard Time.
On Thursdays. Go ahead and, live stream the radio.
I love listening to it in my car, but I mean, if you have an iPhone tablet or anything, you can listen to it anywhere. The stream's not as good, but and I recommend headphones. People don't listen to music with headphones enough anymore.
Yeah. You really get you get more out of it. There's a lot of stuff you don't notice.
It's like putting on 3D glasses on your ears.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So yeah, check it out, 88.3 FM, 9 to 11 on Thursdays. And then make sure to check out sameolddevils.com. That's where we have all of our podcasts. You can find us on YouTube on there, any other kind of podcast station, what the fuck ever. It's on the website. And
so
then
you start off as a clothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, originally that's what it started.
Are you gonna have clothes for sale?
We have clothes for sale. Perfect segue.
These are t-shirts?
Yeah. Yep. Sameolddevils.com/shop or /shirts or what the fuck ever you want to find. We got it
and you
here.
do your own screen printing?
No, I wish.
Or do you sew the clothes?
No, so I'm working on.
Sorry, I'm interviewing him.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
I'm working on tags, which I'll be doing, putting on the shirts myself. And then Electric Ghost does our screen printing.
That's who did our recent Techno Squid shirts.
Yeah, they're fantastic over there.
But,
that's a good musician, that guy.
Yeah.
He's in a couple of cool bands.
Yeah, a couple big time ones. Hopefully, maybe one day I can sweet talk him into coming and hanging out for a little bit. But Shayne, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I learned quite a bit.
I talked way too much.
There was
you're the guest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was a lot. Yeah, no, that's the whole point. That's the idea.
Well, I'm just, with this whole new me trying to get away from ego and trying to promote other stuff, it's kind of hard to jump back in and talk about how awesome you are, talk about yourself.
Sometimes you just got to realize, you're a dope dude. But we're gonna head out.
Don't tell the cops
folks.
I'm a dope guy. Dope man.
You're still clean cut. They won't notice.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I'll just keep a long sleeve on this tab.
There you go.
Well, we love you. We appreciate you. Oh, bye-bye.
See ya, people.
Good day.